Oldhammer podcast. My name is Sam. This is where life meets the mats. As always, I'm here with Gordon. What's up?
What's up?
We're talking about phones. I hate my phone. You hate being on your phone. Too many people are on
Yeah.
their phones. I feel like we've had a part of this discussion before, but
Well, yeah, you know, I said that I'm like on my phone, trying to figure things out here. Well, I don't really have social media. I don't have Facebook. I don't have. I have Instagram, but it's on my old phone. I haven't downloaded that on my new phone. So my old phone is it's so bad I can barely function. So I don't have really like real access to any social media. Except YouTube. YouTube.
we uh
That's
we,
on social media.
we as Oldhammer do actually have a Facebook and an Instagram. There's nothing on
Yeah.
there right now because we haven't really done much with it, but we did. Actually, there's links to these videos on the Facebook account, but we haven't really done much with that. But yeah, I have Facebook on my phone. I think that's the only social media I have on my phone now, and I don't really use it. YouTube technically, but I don't really consider YouTube social media in the same way.
No, not unless. No, not even. No, it's not. So I don't look at it that way either. See, I wouldn't consider it like social media where you're like the sole goal is to like interact with like people. Like
I
whereas
find
YouTube, you can interact with people, but you put your content up there and you can choose to interact or not, or you can just you know watch free content. That's what people usually do.
yeah, that's what I'm there for sure. All the free content,
Yeah.
all the knowledge that's housed within YouTube. Yeah, you're right. You don't really get that on any other social media. I think it's weird that people are now getting their news from TikTok. Have you heard of this?
I kind of we got some coworkers that would be like, oh, especially women. They're like, oh, look, I learned this new thing. I'm like, oh yeah, where'd you learn from? They're like, oh, on TikTok. And I tried to be open minded, but then it starts to like go in one year and oh,
The other. Well, I don't know about learning new stuff from TikTok, like, I don't know, a life hack or something. There's some of that. There's one guy I know that does, I wish I knew this before I was 30. I think that's his tagline. I don't know who he
yeah,
is.
yeah, like,
Yeah, some of his stuff is actually, like, funny and, like, kind of interesting. Like, oh, yeah, okay, didn't know that. Not going to use it, but didn't know that. Cool. Um, but what gets me is people who actually get, like, world news or local news through TikTok. I'm like, one, is it really a reliable narrator there that you got there?
these are the same people enough to be like, oh, like you can't trust the media. So, yeah, but like TikTok's pretty like unregulated. I know they say they like take off certain things, but whatever people put on, if you and even if they take it down, like you've already seen it. Kind of like firms your like biases or like plus it's like paranoia. Like it was like that with Facebook. Now with like
The
people's
algorithm.
with ultra short attention spans, and then TikTok just kind of like exacerbates that. It feeds into that. Now you're not really gonna do a deep dive into like this bit of news. Most people just look at the headline. It's a headline of a headline. It's just a hot topic kind of thing, and then they're like, yeah, this is. Did you hear about this? And they won't have any proof. It's like, oh, but I saw it here. I'm like, okay, sure.
Sure, I'm sure that's true. Yeah, I don't know. It's it's one of those things where I don't think you can get a full story from a 15-second clip of anything.
That'd be different if they dived into it. It's like, oh, okay, but like most people who stay on TikTok don't really want to deep dive. They want that I don't know how many seconds, like 60 seconds or 30-second
I
worth.
I
That's all
don't
they
know,
want.
15 to 60 seconds, like
Oh yeah,
probably.
yeah. It's like it's very palatable, and they can, it's like eating fast food, right? And then
Well, we
I
kind of
find it like I can hate on social media and how the platform like is like presented and used by people all day long because I think it's trash.
well, I agree. It's the trash TV, but on your phone. Like it's Jersey Shore, but on your phone. And to relate this to jiu-jitsu, because I guess that's why we're here. The it's like trying to develop a system of jiu-jitsu that works without practicing, like without rolling, and by only watching YouTube clips.
Like just like the random move on a YouTube show. Like, yes, this is the way to do jiu-jitsu.
This is
Like
the
you just put all
move.
it together. Like this is my system. This is my passing system. I'm like that's just a collection of fucking fancy moves.
Yeah,
But okay,
there's one dude I like watching him, but he does a lot of clips because he's using it as a tool. Fair enough. Like you can use these clips as
yeah,
tools.
you should definitely
Yeah,
social media.
he's driving to his tutorials. I think it's Mad Lab BJJ. I don't know. Anyways,
Yeah.
but he does a couple moves where I'm like, one that only seems to work in the gi. Fine, it's a gi move. That's cool. But two, if you try to do like he's obviously a black belt. He's like a 3-stripe black belt or something. If you try to do that as a white belt, somebody's gonna mess your day up.
Fundamentally, you're not sound enough to like how to get there, and if you do, it's like how you retain the integrity of that move. Like, because it's like your opponent's not gonna give. It's not if you're drilling, that's a little bit different. But in a live roll, if you don't know what's actually really going on outside of what you saw on that move, that little short, then the opponent and they will change things up. You're not gonna just react like a drilling partner would. Then you're going to be lost because fundamentally you don't really understand like how that move works.
Yeah, we were doing sort of so I went to a gi class there. Yeah. It was fine. It was
easier.
It was hotter, but I felt less taxed afterwards. Like
pace is slower.
The pace is slower. The pace is slower. There's a little more stalling for sure. But I definitely sweat. Somehow I sweat more because I'm enclosed in heavy clothing. I sweat more while doing less. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense because it's hot.
Yeah, but it was fine. Like nothing against it. I'll go again once a week because it was nice to. Okay, so it was nice to actually be able to hold something. Because for all the no-gi people out there, you know how frustrating it is. You're like, I need to do this move, wrist, whew, crap. Whereas this time it was like wrist. Hey, that's kind of nice, right? And we were just practicing. We practiced a De La Hiva entry to a sweep, right? So just your three tripod sweep, right? So you do De La Hiva to a tripod sweep. And I was practicing with this guy who's enormous, because I like 300 plus pounds, like big boy. He's huge. But he was newish, like barely about to get a stripe on his belt type new, like like he's been to class before, but he's still figuring out a couple of the basics, right? So I'm drilling with him, and then we did a positional roll, and it was funny every time I did sweep him. He would fall back so hard, and I'd be holding on that I would actually pop up. So I would jump over his guard just from momentum. Perfect. Whoa! It was great. It was wonderful leverage. But he didn't know how to do like a knee cut, right? So he was
300-pound knee cut.
Better than a 300-pound body lock. Can you imagine? I couldn't close my guard on him because I have short legs anyways, but like he's huge. So obviously play open guard if I was on bottom, but like one of the rules in our positional roll that I rolled with him was no pressure passing. You actually have to do something else. Right? So I swept him like 3 times, and a couple times when he was trying to do the move on me, I would just move his leg and do whatever, right? Knee cut, go around the outside. And it was one of those funny things where I looked at him like, how do you, like, because he was obviously, like, things were trying to connect but weren't melding. And I just asked him, like, how do you usually like to pass? Like, what's your thing about passing? And I looked at him like, just smother the guy? He goes, yeah, usually. I'm like, all right, here's a tip. Quick tip. If you can't go forward because you're in positional rolling and the rules won't allow it, or somehow the guy is super strong, you can take a step back. He's like, what? I'm like, that's what I did against you. This guy could just lift me and like leg press me. So all I did was like, right? And he's like, oh, really? Yeah. And anyways, that's why I feel about YouTube shorts is if you only have these, if you're creating a collection of systems from different moves, you're going to miss something. And that's why you go to roll and you do positional spiraling and then you roll after that. Rolling after that was, I only rolled twice because I had to go back to work. And it was against a couple other blue belts. But yeah, man, I was grateful for the ability to stall. It allows you time to breathe. And one thing that weirded me out, and maybe it's because I'm coming back, I wasn't as threatened by the gi choke as I used to be. Like, I was going into that being like, man, when I roll, someone's going to try and get a deep hand and just do a full guard. Because the guys we used to roll with, you know who I'm talking about. We've mentioned them before and muted their names. Like that was their thing, right? Was those gi chokes, and yeah,
Yeah,
wasn't
but just
as much a problem as I thought it would be.
no, it's different now, man. I mean, I think people can obviously they have their own opinions on it. But I think the general consensus, at least the people I train with, and obviously it's biased because everybody I train with does like percent of the training is like no gi. My training is 100%. But like I think we all agree that like going from no gi to gi is a lot simpler
Yeah.
than the other way around.
Oh,
Everything you can do in no gi, you can absolutely do with the gi.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
everything. Exactly. Yeah,
one
because there's
thing,
less control. Yeah.
body lock passing in gi, a lot easier.
Well,
Why? Because
the gi.
because the gi. Because in no gi, you either have to have a full grip, 10-finger grip, something, and then you gotta kind of like swordfish your elbow or get your leg or get your hip really high. But in gi, you're like, body lock. I can just grab the belt and free up this hand, and you can have this extra space to
Yeah.
to do a guard pass. So I was
Defending
like, this is
submissions.
so much easier.
Even defending submissions. There's so many times in like the beginning of this week, I'm ringing for one Kurt belts, you know, and God, he should be a brown belt, but he just heel hooked the living shit out of me, and like straight ankle lock. And then I was just thinking to myself, if I had just had the gi, I could just brief on his lapel, just feed my leg through,
Yep.
and then I could just stack him. But obviously that didn't happen. I had to grab the head, pull him forward. I did defend a couple successfully, but that was like 2 out of like 8, you know, that kind of thing.
I
It's just more to grab onto.
I was pretty happy with myself. I was rolling. It was another blue belt, but I actually managed my first. I want to say real heel hook, like
Mhm.
not garbage. I got this heel hook. Like no, I planned to do this and it actually worked on him. And it was from I started in his half guard, swung over, like knee on belly over, brought him down, got the heel, and I was like, damn, all right, that's a thing, cool. I've been thinking about it for a while, and I finally like executed it, and yeah, got the right transition. I'm like, I only did it once, so I'm not gonna say I can do it again, but I was happy that
Yeah, well,
it
you
worked.
have to. It has to work. You know, the move has to work for the first time eventually, and then you gotta hunt it and see, try again and again. Sometimes moves that you want to do and get better at, they don't really present themselves just because of certain people, certain ways that people
Roll,
roll.
yeah,
And the certain particulars, like certain body types and the styles of jiu-jitsu. Like they're
yeah.
just not going to give you their leg.
So speaking of what your problem was, the guys I regularly roll with, like there's about 5 or 6 of them that like I routinely roll with. They've
Yeah.
learned that I like the front headlock turtle. So now I'm finding myself rarely in the front headlock
Sure.
turtle position because they're just like, no, I'm not going there. I'm like,
I
oh,
had that
fine.
issue for about 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. It was really annoying. But then I've settled that issue isn't an issue anymore. Yeah, I don't. Once I get there, okay, I can't get it. Dude, I just let them back down to their side mount, which actually has been really good because they go to their little chicken yard.
Oh
Just
yeah.
basically, dude, I fucking feast there.
Well,
Then I start shooting in darces, everything. I go to their back, and then then I mount them, take their back, and I dismount. It's a shit show. It's
the
fun.
it's yeah, it's not the problem of it's just they will give up a different position not to go into turtle. Because they know I'm going to try and anaconda them. They know I'm going to try and put them down on their side for the darts. They know I'm going to try and take their back, right?
So what
Right.
do they usually do? Like, what do they give
They'll
up?
they'll go to a shitty half guard, or they'll just try and stand up, or they'll actually give up side mount and try to go back into half guard.
Make them pay for it, man.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I
that.
think I had that you too. Like when our styles are similar, right? Um, yeah, yeah, I had a problem with them regarding and half guard.
Yeah.
But I don't let them do that anymore for the most part. I will do like a reverse. If it goes to side mount, I'll do a reverse kesekatane, and
Okay.
then I just smush them. And I just control their legs, and then their torso is way open. Now mount their ass, and now dismount into like.
I've done the thing where when they try to regard from, so I'll give it the side mount. They'll try to get into half guard. I'll give them my ankle, and then switch sides. So I'll bring the knee over. So both my knees are on the same side, and then I will crap. What's the name? Cradle them. I'll cradle them and
Oh, there you go.
slip my foot back out, Or what I'll do is actually I'll roll through and try and take their back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do the far roll. So give
I
that
got
far roll, bring them, and try and take their back. And if that doesn't work, we just end up in a scramble. So win-win.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I get you. Yeah, for me, I don't roll to take the back. It's like it's an option that I almost never do. But I that's something I would. That's a great option. Yeah, I usually just if they do regard, because it's like a fairly loose regard, right? If you think a lot of times it's like as the top player in that position, you also want to catch your breath. So I've just been pushing through there, and then you just go quickly go chest to chest. I'll post the leg that they regard with. So say if I'm attacking their right side, so they're gonna regard by catching my top leg, so that'll be my right leg. I'll post it, I plant my foot, they regard, I plant my foot, so my shin's vertical, and I'll just walk my leg across, and then I'll slide my knee across the other way. So I'll have chest on chest,
Yeah.
plant my head onto the left side, so I'm using it as a post, and then I'll do the wrong side knee cut. The left leg comes across, so they're turning away now, or they're just square up. They got like the right leg,
Right.
a shitty half guard, and I'll just pull. And I have their head cradle, and I have arm control, but I'll replace the arm with
Your head.
my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'll free up my hand. So my hand's still on their torso, but I'll just so I don't want them down the underhook. Then I'll do like the wrong side knee cut right to the other side. I usually end up in an arm triangle really quick.
Yep.
So it's been really good. I've been been really like opening my mind to being less stringent. When we first got back, we're like, I'm just gonna body lock. I'm just gonna knee cut. I'm just gonna do this.
Yeah.
Did I mention last time? My guard passing's been like really good because I decided to do some loose passing.
Yeah.
Just on a whim, and then just on the whim, I decided to do the leg drag.
Yep.
And yeah, I had so much like success. So now even when I failed the leg drag, I end up in like a J point.
Oh.
Like, the J point. Yeah, so I end up in J point. So like basically I'm framing from the top, like a plank with my ass up kind of shit, and then I'm like basically to their side, completely to their side, and then they'll now have my outside hand posting on their hip, and I got my inside hand posting on their knee. So they're basically just a shitty open guard, side mount like open guard, and I post my head onto their hip. So I just frame there, and I let them work. I just let them waste energy, and then they're probably a lot of times they try to high leg over, then I'll just drop either all the way to north south, or I'll shoot around. I spin around on the other side.
I haven't done the J point that much, or ever.
Right, man. Dude,
never. I've never done it.
Worst case scenario is like, yeah, Simon.
Yeah,
but it wasted so much of their energy. I just camped there. I just literally camped there. My arms posted out, everything, head down into their junk, or like hip.
But I definitely have passed straight to north south a lot, especially no-gi, because it's. I find it's easier to get past the legs if you're not trying to go to side mount, if you're going to north south, because you can always go back to side mount once you hit north south, right?
Yeah.
You can always go back, but if you try to pass straight to side mount, I find there's a good chance they might hook one of your feet, and you end up in half guard. Which maybe you want to be there, maybe you don't. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff you can do from half guard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I find just going straight to north south, especially on more advanced guys that are better at guard retention, it just for me has been a better option to actually pass the guard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the main goal too. I'm just saying, like, if you just for the ease, because I was doing the biggest mistake I was doing, and everyone was telling me not to do it, was letting. It seems so obvious now, but was to basically like. If I take the guy down, he's in guard, I'll just sit into their butterfly guard or just casually sit into their half guard. So they will establish hooks and grips. So like now I'm fighting from, they get to establish everything, right? They get to establish their grips, their hooks and everything. And now I'm fighting them at their strongest position. So because of me being lazy and all that stuff, and now that changed my mindset, I'm like, oh, fuck that shit, man. Like if they're going to get half guard, it's going to be on my turns, and it's going to be a loose half guard, and I'm going to get chest to chest. So if I fail the leg drag, go to a J point, they regard. When they get the half guard, but it's shit. Like I have chest to chest like 80% of the time, and then from there it's like okay, that's why I'm on established chest to chest.
Yeah,
and then I just pass really quickly. I spend so little time in people's half guards now.
A loose high half guard, I love it when I end up there because I'm practicing leg stuff. Hence the reason I got that heel hook. Mm-hmm. I got into a loose high. He had a high half guard, so you just slip the hand underneath, pin, knee over, and you just have their leg. Like, they can't take your back because your knee is on their hip, right? So they can't sit up. You've already pinned their leg right to your chest, right? So the knee. So from there, like, you can roll down, try the knee bar, try the transition to inside ashi to get the heel hook. If you're at the level you're allowed to, you can do a toe hold. You can do a toe hold actually just sitting right there, right? Which brings me to one thing. I was reading, like, because I was going to gi class, I didn't want to be the guy who, like, does the thing that you can do in no gi that you're not supposed to do in gi. What? Why are you not allowed to do heel hooks in blue belt? You can't do them. You can't do heel hooks, toe holds, knee bars, any of that shit. No, not according to the IBJJF rules. Until you're a brown belt. Why?
Yeah. Why? Because the theory, it's like a false theory.
I know the theory. It's bullshit.
Of the gi, you can really leverage to, like, just reef. But here's the thing.
You can do the same thing in no gi.
Yeah, but because of the friction that you have with the gi, it's just hard to get out. But that's a false statement because, like I mentioned, like at the beginning of this podcast, and I think other podcasts too, is the gi helps you escape leg locks. That's like the prevalency of, like, even
that's why
the same high level black belt to compete in gi and no gi, they get more leg locks in this. So we're talking about black belt, so it's all bets are off.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want. They're getting more leg locks in no gi than they would in with the gi.
Yeah, because the gi can give you points to grab to stop them from transitioning.
Yeah.
Or if they've already transitioned, to pull them in close so they can't leverage.
Yeah. And because you can frame up, because of the gi, framing is more important, and it's easier and more important. Like, it's a leverage. Like, in no gi, when you frame, it's where there's more slippage, it's more dynamic. Whereas with the gi, if you frame out really hard, you get that supine, you can really stay on your back really well. Yeah. And when people start to tap your legs, you're like almost like, I'm gonna say a step ahead, because the actions you need to take a little bit more time to set up. Even though control goes both ways, you can see it coming. It's like, oh, fuck this, I'm not gonna let this happen. Whereas in no gi, things happen like this quick, because you transition to moves. You have to transition to moves and a lot faster, and you need to bail on things quickly to transition to another thing. So I think no gi, just because of the lack of a gi, makes it, like, much more dangerous. Because I've been heel hooked once in the gi. I did gi for like two and a half years, and I've been, like, knee marked just a couple times by one guy in particular.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
That's because it's a specialty. But besides that, man, like, in no gi, I've been heel hooked like, God, 20 times, mainly by one guy.
Well, that's just it. Like, in the gi, it's like, well, you can do straight leg locks, and I'm like, so I can crush your Achilles, but I can't heel hook you, even though you will tap much more quickly to a heel hook than you will to an ankle lock, like a straight ankle lock. Because if you are mentally tough and you have a little bit of skill, the straight ankle lock doesn't work that much, right? But because of that, if you're unaware, I feel like you're gonna do more to escape it instead of just realizing you're screwed. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, when I got ankle locked, when I get heel hooked, it's like instant, like, nope, I'm out. Like, you win. Don't even bother, right? Whereas if somebody puts a straight ankle lock on me, I'm like, I'm gonna fight this. I'm gonna fight this because it doesn't hurt, but there's a chance that if you reef it, I'm gonna pop my Achilles into itself, right?
Yeah.
And I just don't understand it. It's I think I've said this before. It's like the 12-6 elbow in mixed martial arts. Why that's illegal in UFC? It makes no sense. Somebody thought it was too dangerous. It's really not, because you don't. So
it's a perception too. I think, like, the idea of, like, somebody grabbing on, it's just like because there is so much more friction with the gi. So they just kind of, like, in their minds, it just makes sense. Like, if you get the gi, there's still be friction. I'm able to reef it more. Then in that case, obviously you need to learn how to defend it better. Two, just tap earlier then.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's more dangerous, then tap earlier, right?
Yeah, you have to be a conscious roller.
Yeah, and here's the thing. In my place, I was talking to my instructor, the coach, and I got there a little bit early for class, and there's the kids class in this place that I go to. Um, all the kids class is gi, but then some of the older kids, like I guess like the 12, 15 year olds or whatever, they come to no gi as well. But anyways, for the gi for the kids class, like the 10 under whatever, he was telling me, he was like laughing. He's like, "Yo, we're teaching the kids leg locks and heel
Little
hooks
legs
now."
and the
I
heel
started
hooks now.
laughing. I'm like, "Yeah,
Good.
they're gonna be ahead of the curve." And a lot of the places like in where we trained, British Columbia, the places that are really, um, I guess like ahead of the curve with their kids program, with like even their adult program,
Yeah.
they're training kids how to do heel hooks, knee bars, ankle locks,
Well,
like up to 8 or 10. There's not like a giant like landslide of like terrible leg injuries in children.
no, because I'm always of the
So,
perception when it comes to mixed martial arts is, or any sort of martial art, I should say. That's what I meant. But like, it's better. It's better to know it and not use it than not know it, not be taught it, because you can always like see the rules of a competition you're in and say, oh, I'm a blue belt. I can't heel hook, but I know heel hooks. I know how to defend them, right? So if I enter a tournament that does allow them, I'm not at a disadvantage. So you should teach them because it also makes it safer. Why? Because the person applying it knows what they're doing. Hopefully they paid attention. And the person who has having it applied to them also knows what they're doing and how far they can allow this to be taken, right?
yeah.
So I totally agree. Teach it to them. There is I'm going back to the 80s here in this thought, but like there are no like completely deadly moves. There's no five-finger death punch. It doesn't really exist. Not
Doesn't exist at all.
not really, right? So there's really no move that you can teach someone and have them practice and be competent with it and be like, you should never use this in real life because you'll just kill the person. No. No, that's not a thing. It doesn't exist. There's no punch them in the throat and they just die. Like, that doesn't happen. Like, you can punch somebody in the head and they fall over and they hit their head in the concrete and all of a sudden you're up on manslaughter charges. But that's don't get in street fights. Let's just say that. It's better just to avoid the street fight. So like,
you're not practicing that in like the gym. Like, okay,
yeah,
punch each other fucking for me.
Yeah.
Like,
So
that kind of like eye gouging stuff. But we're talking about something you can tap to, right? So it's kind of hard to like tap to a throat punch.
that's a good point.
Like the damage is already done, right?
But like, but realistically, if you punch somebody in the throat, the chance that you're actually going to break their trachea and have them suffocate to death is pretty fucking minimal. Like, but again, like, it's something you shouldn't do. But like, again, if you know how to throw a throat punch, are you really going to throw a throat punch? Maybe if they're coming at you with a knife. But all these situations are so extreme and so exaggerated that it's kind of pointless to even discuss,
Yeah. But like back to the topic of like heel hooks or ankle lock, bars, like all the leg attacks. It's good to know them because like then you end up like us. You were just like basic like 40 trying to figure out the leg lock game. Whereas like freaking like I honestly believe that if you take out leg locks, which I'm not against at all. Like I need like I'm in the mindset that like they're great. I just suck at them. Like if you take out leg locks, like dude, like that's the only way at this point. Even if you're about to tap me out, it's leg locks. If you take out leg locks, if I told them, dude, you cannot leg lock me, dude, I'm gonna have a fucking field day, man. Like against most profi belts.
I did get armbarred, but
so much better.
We lost the clock, so I don't know how long we've been rolling. Like, it'd been 8 or 9 minutes straight at that point, and no excuses here, just reality. And I went for a sit-up takedown, and he took my back and transitioned to an armbar, and I was just out of it. So, but like, that is so rare, because that same day, one other guy, different guy I was rolling with, tried to armbar me like 4 times. I was like, just no. Like, I don't care that you're not getting this. Like, I got short, thick arms. Like, try a different move, buds. Yeah, so I get what you're saying. Like, it's one of those instances where, like, it's take out leg locks and no-gi, and yeah, it's gonna be a harder time unless you're a black belt or brown belt or something that like knows like that as their technique down. Like, there's always exceptions, right? It's gonna be a difficult time doing a sub on the upper half for sure.
Yeah, that's what leg locks are. Such a potent like instrument. like to be to use. I mean, like a weapon instrument. But like for me personally, instead of being like, oh, I think like everybody who does nogi, nobody goes in nogi. It's like, oh, they're making complaints about leg locks. It's a reality of life in that world, right? So for me, it's like, okay, now I'm just gonna take this opportunity to learn this super powerful weapon, and then if I know personally that my main like kryptonite is leg entries, defending them, initiating them. So now I learn it, become really good at defending it initially, and then applying it as a weapon, or vice versa, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Then it becomes a non-issue, right? Then all those complaints go away. Then I can still play my game, and I got something on top of it. Now I can use against somebody who I'm better against. Like when it comes to leg locks. So a lot of people go for the idea, even grown ass men.
Well,
like
you reminded.
Like, oh, you teach white belts to leg locks. I'm like, yeah, you're grown ass men. Just like
this.
Just tap early. How much of an ego do you have? Like we're men. You have pride. What the fuck? You got my fucking. Got my knee turning one way, and my heel turning the other. Fucking go tap before that happens, man.
Yeah. This is a conversation I actually had with a buddy of mine, who is primarily a gi person. And was saying, yeah, so we're doing this, and we moved to this, and then you get the heel hook. He's like, you're doing heel hooks? I'm like, yeah. Aren't you just whatever belt? I'm like, so? What is that? It doesn't matter where they train. Obviously, they don't teach the whatever. I'm not going to give him away, but like his level, those moves, right? And I'm like, there's no point in not learning it. Like you should, and I actually straight up said, I'm like, no, you should learn this stuff, and you should learn it now. So by the time you get to brown belt or black belt or whatever that you can do at a tournament, you're not starting your belt and being like, all right, now I have to learn all this whole new system, because by then you're too set in all the things that you want to do, and you're so ignoring stuff that's going to be very pertinent later on, right?
Because the thing is, like, with such a powerful weapon, people are just, like, afraid. It's like how people are afraid of guns. Like, oh, you have a gun. Everybody's got a gun. We're just going to shoot each other. Like, if that was the case, most of us would be dead, right?
Yep.
So, and, I don't give a rat's ass what anybody says. Like, I'm a huge gun advocate. I love guns. As
a Canadian firearms owner, I own firearms, okay? I'm not a gun collector. I'm not a gun nut. I do hunt. Not lately, because I've been just way too busy. But my dad owned firearms. I own firearms. I'm going to say something that's going to be very controversial, I think. Everyone should know how to use a firearm, because it minimizes the fear of what a firearm can do. However, not everyone should own a firearm. The U.S. has a severe problem with the overpopulation of guns. And I'm not going to get into mental health or NRA or any of that shit. I'm just saying there are too many guns per person in the United States. However, just like learning a martial art, you should know what a gun can really do and what it can't. I read a story where a guy took his dad to a gun range, and the dad was completely oblivious to firearms, did not know the difference in damage that a shotgun versus like an AR-15 could do. For people who don't know, an AR-15 shoots a bullet that's about that big. It's a pretty small bullet. It's called .556. It'll kill you because it's a gun. Come on. But it doesn't take chunks off you, whereas a shotgun will take a piece of meat off of you. Just gone. Right? In World War I, it was called a trench gun. It was like the first type of shotgun used in combat. And the Germans wanted it banned during the Geneva Conventions because they thought it was unfair, because the Americans went in to trenches with shotguns and just said, fuck everything. Okay? So a shotgun is... By the way, you can buy automatic shotguns. People don't understand this. A shotgun is just as dangerous as an AR-15, but there's a perception that the AR-15 is more dangerous. 1, because it's readily available. 2, because bullets are cheap. And 3, because people have used them in mass shootings. I'm not getting into mass shootings because that's a whole rabbit hole that I don't want to go down to right now. The point is, you should know the difference, and you should know how a firearm works, how to be safe with it, and what its purpose is. Because there are some guns that are literally just meant to kill other people, and there are some guns that are tools. You got breakfast.
My oldest came down with breakfast. I thought she was going to be annoying, but she did not feel bad.
Aw.
Came out.
Is that raisin bread?
Yeah, we got raisin bread from Cobb's, and then some eggs.
Raisin bread's delicious. I had eggs for breakfast.
My 7-year-old made that for me. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think.
If your 7-year-old made that for you, I'd be like, maybe she should look at being the next top chef or something.
Well, she can make eggs. Like she's pretty good. Like we start out young. Fuck
Good.
fire, ouch, so hot.
Speaking of everybody learning about firearms, everyone should learn how to cook. Whether you're a man, woman, boy, child, if you're at some age, you should learn how to cook.
Yeah. How well you can cook, that's up to you. It's like learn leg locks. Do you want to? You should learn them. You don't have to be the best at them, but you should really know how to survive, right?
You
Just
should
like cooking.
Just like cooking, you should learn a couple basic things to keep you alive, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Learn how to boil water, and make some pasta. It's not that hard.
It's really easy. It's just like avoiding cooking. Yeah, leg locks. Perception of what like the damage and responsibility you need for guns, cooking. They all technically can be dangerous. Like you've seen like grown ass men and women like just light shit on fire in the kitchen. I would say that's dangerous because they're so ignorant about it. They are a danger to themselves and everybody else in the household. Same with leg locks. When you're rolling with someone, it's people are like, oh, what happened if who I'm rolling with, my teammate decides to refit? Well, that he's a fucking asshole or she's an asshole.
Just like that young kid who blew up the black belt's knee that we talked about in the last episode.
Yeah. That kid's also a black belt too, so it's
but he's an asshole.
He's an asshole.
And he probably doesn't know how to cook because he's being fed all that shit, and that's why he's a pudgy little bastard.
He definitely knows how to eat, but
he knows how to eat. I don't think he knows how to cook. I think he just eats fast food. All right, I'm being mean.
You go to the gym and you got people that you're afraid to get leg locked by. Like I got a couple guys that I'm afraid to get not afraid, like I'm cautious about getting leg locked, not because they're dangerous, because I just like, oh fuck, he's gonna leg lock.
They know how to do it.
They never refit. Like good people who are confident in their skills don't need to reef moves, right?
No,
like I mean, tying a heel hook, a terrible heel hook. I'm like, Jesus Christ! And then the move is slowly applied. There's eye contact too. Like they look at me, I'm looking at them. It's like I just tap. I just go one tap. They know it's done. Sometimes
again,
go,
I'm not.
Confidence in your move.
I'm not comparing myself to the fellas you're talking about. But when I got that heel hook, I did do that. I held it and I looked back at the guy. Like I've got this. And then I'm like, I don't want to do the thing.
Yeah.
And so no, I'm years away from any form of mastery, but even at my level, which let's be honest, etiquette's there. You just count to 3. If you have it locked in and you can count to, if you go 1, look at your opponent, 2, 3, a little more pressure, 1, 2, 3, a little more pressure. Come on, dude, come on. Like,
okay to, like
you can do that.
Like, you just let go of it, right? Like.
Yeah. Plus, if you know you have it and you can do that in your head, then in competition you can apply it. There's no need to rip
it. Here's the thing: if you are attacking their leg and they're not in like a 50-50 with you, like they're not attacking your other leg, you should take it as a win. It's like, yeah, you know what? If I had the opportunity to reef this right now, there's a good chance I either break something, he taps, or I break something, he doesn't tap. Either way.
Yeah, it's a victory, right?
Like, I win or I got a massive advantage now because the person's injured.
We haven't.
So, like, but we haven't talked. It's a little bit different from both in the 50-50, and it's like you look at each other, and now it's a shootout. Then you're like rolling the dice because
Yeah, then it's whoever gets there faster, and
I don't fuck with like shootouts, man. Leg shootouts.
No, I scramble out.
If I can get out.
If I can get out, yeah. If you can get out, if you can. Fair, but we haven't really talked about that too much. But I completely agree. Actually, I think we have mentioned it before. If you have a submission and the guy's not tapping, but you know you have it and you don't want to reef it, just let it go. Because what does it matter in training?
Go for something else. Take the opportunity. Be like, okay, I killed you once. I consider that tap. You don't tell the guy, oh, I consider that tap. Just be like, be a good.
You can leave their ego intact.
Well, they know too. They know.
I hope they know.
If they have any sense, they're like, wow, that was a really fucking tight choke. Good thing that so and so let go of that, and then now they're attacking something else. Then take the opportunity to like, dude. It's so simple.
I will admit that sometimes when you have it something sunk, you're like, yeah, I really just want to finish this. And you just slowly apply it until it's over. Because sometimes you want to establish dominance, but then the brown belt comes over and chokes you out, and you're like, no, I get it.
But when it comes to like chokes, I get it. Like the onus is on you to fucking tap.
Yeah.
If you're stuck in that,
I don't ever want to make someone pass out. Let's be like, okay. That's not what I'm saying. It's like, but sometimes when you have it, you want to sink it in. You just want to get that tap. Because it does make you feel good. There is a difference between okay, I know I have it and I let it go to do something else with things that could break wrists, arms, legs, heels. Yeah. But like sometimes you kind of want to get that 3. You want to feel that. It's nice.
And for chokes though, I think it's really acceptable to keep going until there's a tap.
Yeah.
Or you hear a gurgle or something. I don't know. It's up to you. But like, it's because they have so much time to tap and choke. it's the safest submission.
It's a long process.
Yeah,
To
long
the time you
process.
see
You
stars, to the time it starts going whoop, 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 whoop. Yeah.
when you start everything blurry and stuff like that,
Yeah.
like you have so much time.
Your throat's
And
hurting, but you can't breathe, and
yeah,
your
you start
vision's
going like,
going
come on.
weird, and your legs going limp. You're like, okay, give it. All right, and you can just.
It's the most acceptable one to hold on to too. It's like, oh, you choked the guy unconscious. It's like, oh, he didn't tap. I didn't know. It's like, oh, okay, wake him up.
I've been
It's not
seeing
great for
some of
your
those
health.
B team security cameras stuff. I sent you one. I think
Yeah.
I sent you one, but there's a couple where some guys pass out and nobody else is around. You see the guy like, oh shit, and grab the legs, like looking around. Like, come on, wake up, wake up, wake up.
I'll be honest, receiving in those too.
Yeah.
Not recently, but like back in the day. It's okay. It's like, it's not like I'm trying to be tough and not tap. I'm working my way out of it, and I
Yeah,
go
so
out.
you miscalculated your escape vector and whoopsie.
Not going to tap to a submission. Let it be chokes. Like let it be
Yeah,
chokes. As long as
yeah.
you're not going to be tough. Like as long as you're just fighting it, defending, and then you happen to go out, you have to go out. But even then, it's not good for your brain to be shut off like that. It's bad for your brain cells. So
Yeah, because for those who don't, I'm assuming if you're watching this, you know about jiu-jitsu, but for those that maybe
I don't know why
don't,
you'd be watching this if you don't do
yeah, I don't know
this.
why. Maybe you're getting into it, and somehow you got to this episode before some of the earlier ones. But chokes don't actually stop your airway from breathing. It's the blood going to your head that makes you pass out. And yeah, not great for your cognitive function if you get choked out a lot.
Yeah.
It's better to tap than to go unconscious because you're not gonna get CTE from it, but
I think they said it's like not the equivalent, but you do lose brain.
you
cells.
lose brain cells. Yeah, some of them die and you don't get them back.
Yeah, it's not a healthy thing.
Yeah.
Like it's combat sports in general isn't a healthy thing. But there's ways to mitigate that so you can keep on doing it for longer.
That's funny.
For a longer time.
If you want to be healthy, don't do jiu-jitsu.
If you want to be healthy, don't do any remotely competitive sport. Like don't even play basketball for fun. I mean, like just go to the
That's
gym,
fair.
go for a walk, just exercise lightly. That's for health. Anything that involves any sort of competition, like your beer league, like hockey league, pick up basketball, anything that involves competition, it is not healthy.
Here's a funny, not including like the staph infection that I had, because, anyways, I have been more injured playing beer league softball than I have actually at jiu-jitsu. I took a ground ball to the shin one time. It bounced weird and it like swole up my ankle. I needed to get a antibiotic for it. I think no, it wasn't antibiotic. That was actually when I chipped my toe. Okay, that was something different. But like I had to go get a scan to make sure the bone wasn't chipped. Then another time, again a weird bounce. Like the ball hit me in the chest. I had to go get a chest X-ray. and none of that was not being skilled. That's just the ball went weird, right?
Yeah.
And then I've twisted my ankle running between the bases because obviously we're not playing on a pro field. It's on a school playground or whatever, or a community center place. So like the ground isn't perfectly manicured and stuff like that. So yeah, you're absolutely right. If you want to be healthy, go to the gym. Walk around, run on an elliptical or something. Cycle. like
very light to moderate exercise alone, and be extremely non-competitive.
Yeah, even if you're lifting weights, push it till you get that pump, that burn. But like, don't do what I do or what you did and sometimes do. Load up a huge amount of weight on the bar and go for 3 reps because it feels good for me. But like, I know my hips don't like it very much, and I have to do a whole bunch of shit after that to make sure my hips don't hurt forever, right?
I think that anything that involves like skill acquisition, like not just in combat sports, like say you want to be really good at soccer, you're not gonna make it to the English Premier League, but you want to be good at the local level. You pick up soccer, whatever the second tier league of like men's rec, whatever it is, competitive rec soccer. Like you want to get better at it, so you're gonna push yourself really hard in the games. If you have a team, you're gonna push yourself hard in training. You're gonna do extra strength conditioning, whatever. Like you're gonna end up getting injured just because you're pushing yourself. So that's not healthy, So
it is good to push yourself within a limit, right?
Yeah.
But if you're pushing yourself for competition, the chance of injury definitely increases, right?
Yeah. What I'm trying to say is like, if you like shy away from I don't want to get injured. Well, guess what? Nobody wants to get injured. But if sometimes you need to take like risks. Well, not sometimes. the majority of the time you need to take a risk if you want to improve across the board. You know,
Well, you need to do something that's outside of your comfort zone, right?
yeah,
And doing
because
something
then,
outside of your comfort zone, if you don't have great technique, acquired skill, and even with those things, the likelihood of some form of physical injury increases almost exponentially, right? So, and that goes to anything. Like if you look at bodybuilders, right? They get to a certain level, and then they got to start taking PEDs, right?
yeah, that's way worse
And
than
that's way
doing
worse. But they want
jiu-jitsu.
to if they want to compete, like at the Olympia, or not even the Olympia, at your regional, to get your pro card. Yeah, you're going to be on PEDs, right? So you're going to be pushing that limit, and that comes with a whole bunch of risks. And that injury may not be a joint or a tendon or a muscle, but it could be your heart, it could be your liver, it could be your kidney, it could be your spleen, right? Like, so.
Yeah, when I get an ACL surgery, any day of the week, they have like 100 dinner. I mean, like, fuck that shit, man. Like, take it easy, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
I was gonna say, like, well, if it was my appendix, I don't think I'm like, wait a minute, appendix surgery.
no, I mean that's
But yeah, but even still, I was like, appendix surgery still sucks. They gotta get it out of you, right? Like, you still have like 3 month recovery before you can really do anything after that. So like, yeah, it would suck. Any sort of organ issue would be because I had my tonsils out, and that was only like a 4 week recovery. But the pain involved for the first like 5 or 6 days sucked. I think it's the only time where I can understand how a tenth, maybe a tenth, probably less, of how awful my wife must have felt after our baby was born. Yeah.
No, it's pretty.
Like,
I'm sure, like, even birth, fuck that noise, man.
yeah, I said a tenth, but I also said like probably less. Like I don't have a number that I could put in this. This hurt something fierce. It's like top 3 most painful thing I've ever felt, and it doesn't even compare to that. Not even close. Nobody had to put a needle in my spine to make it okay.
Like, maybe that's why, like, a lot of the leg breaks that I've seen have come from women in jiu-jitsu. So maybe because they have they're like, oh, this can't be as bad as giving birth. Maybe I don't know why. Maybe just my feet. I've seen some like terrible leg breaks, but they're like 70% of the time it's women. I'm like, holy shit, they're letting this shit go.
We just found our opening clip right there.
Yeah.
Women don't think leg breaks are as bad as childbirth.
I'm a pretty tough guy. I'll let something go pretty far. Like for my armbar defense, we got obviously like Nicky Raw and J Rod, they fucking just let the arm go out.
And then just try to do
like, that's the hitchhiker thing. I let that go pretty far, and that's like one of my. If my initial like armbar defense fails, I can just let it go, and then I try to escape from there. And I'm pretty successful, but then because of my lack of mobility.
Yeah, that's always my problem with this one. Is my arm like sort of turn over into it just to let the arm.
I'll do my right arm because it's my better arm. But if my left arm, I won't hitchhiker. I just can't afford to have any more damage done to my left arm. So I tapped Kimuras early to my left arm, which I think I'm only tapped that once so far this year by Kimura. But like, yeah, like even then it's like for leg locks, if you start early, the earlier the better. Teach the children etiquette. It's easier to mold children and be like, hey, this is the right way to approach leg locks. This is arm devastating. And you don't need to teach them how to refit. You need to teach them how to get into position, hold a position, and then be like, explain to them like the braking mechanics, of what is going on here. You don't need to teach them how to like completely turn it. Like if you go that way and you force them to go that way, and you got hips locked, or knees control, ankle control, this is what you do. This is the grip, and then you escalate it as time goes on. By the time they're teenagers, they're good. They understand. And some kids might get injured along the way. But it's jiu-jitsu. But kids are going to get injured.
Kids in any sport are going to have an injury quota, right? Like teaching kids leg locks is a lot worse than. Sorry.
Like in hockey, if kids get slew-footed. You don't stop hockey. Like when you get slew-footed, that's a high injury rate to your. The chance of you breaking your fucking leg is pretty fucking high.
Figure skating.
They don't stop hockey. It's illegal. It's a shitty move. But they don't stop hockey. It still happens at the highest level. In the NHL, guys get slew-footed. Leg is likely gone, man. This is a season-ending injury.
Well, In figure skating, you don't have that. You still have, because their skates are super tight, you still have issues with your feet. You still have issues with your calves, knees, ankles, but they let kids do that.
You got people fucking spinning around ice, man.
Yeah.
And then
no helmet.
No helmet. Just like flying around.
That's perfectly fine, but we can't teach kids leg locks.
Like, come on, like that's pretty brutal.
But I was just thinking about this, because there's two parts to a leg lock. One is the person doing it, which needs to be under control, but two is the person escaping, right? And the thing is, to teach people leg locks, you also have to teach people the escape, right? And I think one of the perceptions, now that I'm thinking about it, why they're like, no, white belt, blue belt, or purple belt can do it in comp, is because if the person doesn't know the escape, there's a chance that they could try to escape the wrong way and reef themselves, right? Which, again, the solve is to teach people those things so that when they get in that position, you know, because there's some heel hooks where if you go the wrong way, it's not as bad. Like, you can go the wrong way and you're like, wait, nope, and you step back and you're like, wait, I was going the wrong way. You have a chance to go back the other way, right? Like, I've done that where I've moved over here and I went, wait a minute, nope, went the wrong way, right? You have a chance to correct. And some you really don't. If you just go the wrong way, you're kind of fucked.
You break your own fucking leg.
Yeah.
That happened to me. First heel hook and caught it, I just spin over and just like panic.
Yeah.
And then oh shit, and then I don't know.
Yeah.
Good thing I didn't spin hard.
Yeah. So, but that's the thing is, like, that's why you need to teach people not just how to do the leg lock, because if you teach them leg lock, you also have to teach them how to defend it, right? And when you teach people how to defend it and how to do it, you decrease the risk of injury to both parties.
Yeah, because it's just exposure, right? You get used to it, then it's like you understand the environment. Your body instinctively, like, it will be like, oh, okay, I need to move this way, because you've been exposed to it over and over again. It's not even like it's a second thought. And the thing about, like, Jiu-Jitsu and even any combat sport, offense obviously is what drives the sport. Like the end product is a sub or a knockout, right? But if you know enough defense to offset you can offset a greater offense, because to apply great offense takes more nuance and skill. So, but you can be deterred because the setups for the great offense is it takes more skill, it takes more time to apply. So, but if you have enough defense, you can offset that and then disrupt the timing, disrupt the application of it. So it's like, that's why you see some guys who are like, say in MMA, they're not as talented in Jiu-Jitsu, but when it goes to the ground, they know enough defense to offset that like,
offense.
Yeah, Jiu-Jitsu, or like including like striking too. Like you can offset the striking enough to defend yourself against like a high level striker to close the distance and then take it to the ground, clinch up, and really like tire them out, whatever the tactic is, right? Yeah. So like that. You know, purple belt, you got purple belt defense, you go against like black belt, maybe not black belt, like depends on what black belt level leg lock. If you can recognize the signs of the setup that's about to happen, and or just avoid it completely, that situation, in this case leg locks, then you can, that's going to help you. Or you can just be ignorant and be complaining about leg locks and just get leg locked every time. Like, oh, that's fucking cheap, that's bullshit. Well, it's
not cheap. That's another perception. It's not cheap. It's not a shyster move. Right?
Yeah, it's submission grappling. Like, that is submission, so learn the fucking defense.
One thing I've been remembering lately is, like, the Ezekiel choke. Right? And I've heard some people say, well, that's not really a fair choke. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's a choke. It's a move. And, like, some people also say, I've heard this before about, like, wrist locks. Like, well, it's kind of a cheap move. And it's like,
why?
I don't know why you're saying this. It's just a move. It's a move with an execution and a defense.
Yeah, it's a high consequence move. Like, learn the fucking defense and
right. So,
that's cheap.
Like, I don't know. I don't know. I can understand. Like, there's one I saw which is a really funny submission. I don't know if you've ever seen it. You need kind of long legs to do it, but it's from full guard. And what it is you're in your full guard. You feed your hands between your legs and grab behind their back. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And then you squeeze your knees, and it just causes pain.
The portal choke.
Yeah. Yeah, and
I find that, man.
Huh?
It's like hard to catch. If you gotta catch people by surprise.
Yeah, it's hard to, but it's. I can see it's that something like that being not a cheap move, but kind of a dumb move because like it doesn't really take much skill to execute it. You do kind of have to catch people with it. So I can understand if you're talking about like there are some moves that are less skillful to execute than others, maybe.
That's not leg locks.
But it's not leg locks. It's not wrist locks. It's not chokes. Like,
Yeah.
So when I hear this from people, I just go, I think you're just scared of the move.
Yeah, they're just scared of the move. They're just scared of the consequences of being in that situation over and over again. But they're just running away from a really important aspect of the game. It's like, in life, you keep running away from your problems, it's gonna catch up to you eventually. So in jiu-jitsu, your life in jiu-jitsu, you're gonna be exposed. Like, how can you become now? Not the black belts back in the day, because black belts weren't part of the sport really back then. Like today's climate, like, how can you be coming to jiu-jitsu, be like in whatever age, right? You come in jiu-jitsu and you're like, I don't want to do leg locks. It's like in basketball, like I don't want to dribble. I don't want to shoot 3-pointers. Like, I don't. That's bullshit. They can,
You can just shoot it from half court. That's whole shit.
But it's part of the sport, man. It's not
Or
fair that you're so tall you can just dunk on me. I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, it's part of the damn sport, man. Like, get used to it, buddy. And like, you can't complain about. You can't join a sport and complain about all the consequences that can happen to you because it's not fair. It's dirty. Like, how about when fucking 7'2", 400-pound Shaq dunks on you? Oh, that's not fair. That's not fair.
Or what happens when the 300-pound guy learns a few passes and gets on top? Well, I don't care what kind of skill I have. He got a genetic advantage. Fuck. All right.
Like how many times have I rolled with guys who are like 6'4", 6'5", their legs are super fucking far, and I'm like, great. Like, this sucks. But like, it is what it is, man. And then
I've definitely looked at guys and like that with things, just go, well, I don't really want to roll with you today. I mean, I will, but this is going to be super tough, and I'm feeling kind of shitty. So, all right, let's go.
You have to bite the bullet but once you build rapport with your teammates and your training mates, whatever you want to call them, you feel like, hey, buddy, like I want to work with you, but we have to go lighter than we usually do because I'm banged up. Let's work on this. We can go hard in this position. You just have a rapport. Like, I think a lot of people forget that jiu-jitsu, like, is a community, and if it's a good place to train, wherever you train, if it's a good place, you should be able to have a rapport. Like, hey, man, like,
a few weeks
you're really good at this, like, I'm banged up there, like my neck's fucked. Like, come on, like, you leg lock me, but do not attack my neck. Like,
yeah.
You have to have that before.
I had a similar discussion with another dude. He was going to comp that weekend, right? And it was a Thursday, comps on Saturday. And I'm like, hey, man, you want to roll? He's like, well, I'm going to comp. I'm like, do you want to work on something? And he's like, yeah, can we work on this? I'm like, sure. How hard do you want to go? And he's like, I don't know, maybe like 60, 70%. Like, don't let me get it. Try to do your thing, but like, don't smash me. And I'm like, great. So we did 2 different positions that he wanted to work on because he's going to try and execute them in comp, and it was fine. Right? Yeah.
Exactly. I was in that same situation last time when I went to train. One of the guys I usually train with, he's a white belt. He's going to the second comp, and he was told, like, the first guy he's going against, like, was like a pretty decent wrestler apparently, at least better than him. So he was kind of banged up. He wanted to reserve himself for like lighter road. Like, I'm like 25 pounds heavier than him. He said, well, can we wrestle, right? So we just went hard with the wrestling.
Yep.
Gave him some advice with the head positioning, just because since he's the worst off, he's not as good in terms of wrestling. We'll just give him some tips with like anti-wrestling, the defensive side of wrestling. And we went hard, we went hard-ish, right? And I would go as hard as you want. Some people feel certain ways, like, well, if you can go like 90%, 100%, today, what's the point of training? Like, you're being a bad teammate. Well, but in reality, you're being the bad teammate.
Because you can go 60, 70%, and it gives you a chance to play and practice and commit stuff to muscle memory, right? Because I did the same. There was a different day, but same idea. A guy just wanted to do takedowns because, again, he was going to comp that weekend, right? It was the same comp, right? Just different guy. So, yeah, I was like, yeah. And I realized a mistake I was doing on my single leg takedown, even though I got him with it. Right, and then anyways, the point, and we went hard, but the point is, those are two different people. One I went lighter with, one I went almost full, right? But they were doing 2 different things, and they had 2 different attitudes. So you, as the training partner, should be able to adjust to that, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're right. You're being a bad teammate.
Yeah, it allows you to work on stuff that you're basically avoiding. Like,
rolling at different levels.
Yeah, exactly. I think that issue that people like. First of all, number 1, you should do leg locks because it's part of the game. You shouldn't be afraid of it. And number 2, if you're afraid of it, is it because you're scared of getting injured? If that's the case, then you have to assess why you're scared. Are you scared because you have shitty teammates? Okay. Or you're scared because, like, if you got shitty teammates, I think the answer is pretty, like,
find a new gym.
Find a new gym. Super simple. For some, it's not because of logistics. You might be like the only.
Sure, if it's a small town and there's one gym.
yeah, you're pretty much good. But like, if that's not the case, then then the way I see it is that you just you're just blinded by fear. You're like, oh my god, this devastating move, and it is. It technically could be quite devastating, getting like your leg just shattered. But then if you got good teammates, and then you got a good teacher that's gonna teach you what you're supposed to do, then you'll be fine. Like, okay, if they're teaching kids and leg locks, all kinds, and there's like a non-epidemic of kids getting their legs shattered in like in jiu-jitsu, then
Nope.
what's the issue? What's like, think about how we feel. We're both. You did you turn 39 already?
Almost May.
Almost. And
We're
I'm only a couple months
we're
behind,
two
right?
months
I'm only
two
2 months
months.
younger than you. Yeah, I'm like 2 months younger than you. And then so we're basically 39. Think of how we felt. We went back to jiu-jitsu, the huge like decade and a half layoff,
And we've
and
only been back for
we
6
were
months. Think about that.
6 months. Yeah, yeah, 6 months. You
A
went
little
back 6
less.
months. I'm like
I've been back 6
6 months.
months, but I had that
Yeah,
weird
yeah,
layoff in the middle.
yeah. So basically, like whatever, 6 months, 5 months, whatever it is, okay. And it feels like we've been doing jiu-jitsu. We never left, right? Because
Mm.
we like where we train, and we've gotten so much better. And but the thing is, like, we don't run away from leg locks. Can you imagine being almost 40 essentially, and then coming back to jiu-jitsu, and the meta has changed. It went from don't really attack the leg to getting your leg attack it all the time. Like it's like
Always having that
we
threat
didn't complain.
available.
Yeah, but we never complain. We're like, okay, like this is it. That is the life we chose. You choose the sport.
Nope.
It's a part of your life, and within that life, there's rules. And that rules, and those rules are you can get your fucking leg blown apart.
So
You know how it is.
I don't. I'm gonna say something that I don't want to speak for you, but I might a little bit. Um, in the time that we've been away, we haven't really talked much about philosophy, but I found stoicism. I fail at it daily, but one of the things is a part of that philosophy is to accept things as they are, not as you want them to be. It's part of it. There's a lot more to it. I'm not going to give you the 8-point dissertation on stoicism in this podcast. We can do that another time if y'all want. Different podcast. But that is something, and I've had to come to terms with that a lot ever since. Well, it's been about 4 or 5 years. Had a few things happen in my life, and I really had to confront them. Hence the reason I found stoicism. I think maybe for you, you found religion, right? And one of the things about finding religion, kind of like I found stoicism, I believe, please correct me if I'm wrong, or agree with me if you think I'm on the right path, is one when you, if you're not raised in it, for example, and you want to convert to it or become part of it, kind of like the philosophy, because religion is a philosophy with faith, you have to confront the things that are in yourself. And one of the things is, you know, I'm beginning this faith. I need to enter into it honestly, which means I have to be honest with myself and I have to be honest with reality. Coming into jiu-jitsu after that amount of time, I think both of us maybe brought a bit of that to it. Like, I have to accept the reality as it is in the jiu-jitsu world at the moment, not as I want it to be or the way I knew it was.
Yeah, I agree.
Does that
Uh,
that make
I know
sense?
I agree. That makes total sense. Just like depending on how you view your faith, if you're religious, um, there's a stoicism is like integrated into it. You need to understand like I don't want to get too much into religion, but like stoicism, if you practice your religion properly, I think it goes across all boards with religion. It's like you there's a certain amount of stoicism that you need as a person to persevere in life. It's like you said, like life is really hard when you have this idea of what you want your life to be. And yeah, that's great and all, but the reality, you have to face reality, and whatever, you need to be able to adapt to reality. So one, you can just fucking complain about it, saying that why isn't it like that? That's a really negative and non-productive way to look at it. Or you can look at it from, okay, this is the reality of things. I accept it. Now, how do I go about figuring this out? How do I go about like, you know, playing within the rule sets of life, or in this case, jiu-jitsu? And then life is a lot of life is about skill acquisition, like facing the reality of what it is. Get as much skill, and that takes courage to go into these like situations, and then life doesn't become harder. Those things that you found hard, you realize they weren't hard. You just were not skilled enough. You didn't acquire enough skill to make that part of your life easier. And then once that part of your life becomes easier, guess what? You're going to find more issues, and then you need to
There's
start.
always
You know, it's
something
like
else up that
yeah,
mountain. Yeah.
yeah. And once you become a really good black belt, you're like, wow, I'm really good. Then you go compete with the world's best. You're like, wow, I really suck. Then you can get really down and said, oh, my last 10 years of acquiring a black belt, you realize it wasn't that good. Or you'd be like, man, I'm going to take this opportunity to get even better, specialize in this, doing this, and not run away from it. I'm just going to embrace it and then be like, man, this is opportunity to grow. If you look at every single situation, even outside of jiu-jitsu, especially outside of jiu-jitsu, you look at every single challenge or something that's kind of like scary as an opportunity to grow and get more skill. Life is so much better. It's like, wow, well, I get to do this now.
Here's the thing. I'm not really pushing back on this, but that thought of, man, this has been a waste of time, that thought's okay if you confront it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's okay to feel shitty at some point. You are allowed to feel that. You are allowed to feel that, man, I suck right now. And to tell yourself, that's all right. That's okay. Because then it gives you the chance to confront that feeling and then really do some introspection and be like, well, you know what? Maybe I suck at this level, but remember all the awesomeness I did? Okay, so now I can actually derive an action from this. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck. I get stuck there too from time to time. I have to wallow on something for a day, 2 days, and let it simmer, let it cool down, and then be able to say, okay, so what am I actually going to do about this? Is there something I need to do about this, or was that just all a bunch of just stuff that bubbled up that I need to let go of, right? And you were making me think. I've been rewatching some of Avatar: The Last Airbender. The Netflix series just came out, but
I watched the
all of this makes me think of Uncle Iroh, who is probably the best non-therapist in television history, like, ever. That dude is the coolest. And I love that the guy who played Appa from Kim's Convenience is now playing Uncle Iroh. He's so cool. The actor, awesome dude. Anyways, nailing it. Not the point. The point is there is one part where Uncle Iroh and Zuko, that's his nephew, right, get stuck in a foreign land with, like, they can't show their powers because they're in basically enemy territory. And Uncle Iroh goes, well, I love tea. I'm going to make a tea shop, and maybe we'll make some friends, and I'm going to make the best of this shitty situation. Whereas nephew just goes, this sucks. I hate this place. I want to leave. Uncle Iroh is doing what you should do. His nephew is just wallowing and making no progress. And Iroh knows this, and he's trying to help his nephew, right? Being like, we find ourselves here. Does that mean we are going to be here forever? Probably not. Does that mean that in this exact moment we should try to make the best of our situation? Absolutely. And, like, no matter, in my opinion, no matter what happens in your life, unless it's like physically so detrimental that you cannot recover, like you're basically in a coma, okay? Throw that idea away. No matter what happens, there is a chance for you to do something with it. Christopher Reeves fell off a horse, paralyzed from the neck down. Still did great things in the quadriplegic community, fundraising, awareness, just being that type of person. Michael J. Fox got hit with the genetic shit stick, right? What did he do? Started fundraising, went back to acting for a couple things, brought awareness to early onset Parkinson's. It's Parkinson's, not Alzheimer's. Okay, it's Parkinson's, right? Like, did they wallow in misery for a little while? I guarantee you, they sure did. They asked, why me? Then they took action. They did something to make themselves feel better. Because no matter how bad your situation is, can you run away? Sure. Is it going to solve your problems? Probably not. Okay, rant over.
No, I agree with you. I think that there's a big difference. Yeah, you can feel bad for yourself, but when you wallow and it just becomes like what you do, like it's pervasive, it just kind of like it spills into the rest of your life. Like, I think sometimes part of the process of like getting going with something, you need to take time. You should take time to digest it, whine and complain for a couple days. And in that process, it comes to the realization that you need to have a plan and whatnot.
If you need a soundboard, have a good friend that you have a podcast with that you can bitch about stuff off camera. Yeah, really helps.
Yeah, for sure. That definitely does help. And I think that I know that we're talking about leg locks and
Yeah, yeah.
develop. I think a lot if we can just like scale back a little bit and go back to like the leg lock thing. I think it's just like avoidance is something that's really like what is perceived as really like terrible. I mean, like if children can do it, just like how in real life there's so many kids out there, excuse me, that can like persevere through a lot of things because their parents kind of like, hey, you have to go through these trials and tribulations now, so that by the time you become a teenager, especially when you become an adult, like you're not spoiled. Spoiled in the sense you've been what's the word?
Coddled.
Coddled. There you go. Coddled, and now you're 18, 20 or age, and then life hits you, and like you don't know how to use a credit card, you don't know how to pay for any bills, you don't understand, you have no financial literacy.
Yeah. That first time taxes hit you.
Yeah, first time like, well, the taxes part was fine because I'm Asian, so my parents have been on my ass about that since I was like
Fair
10.
enough.
And but like you know what hit me was when I bought my first place and I got my first like property tax. I've never seen a bill that big in my life. I'm like, holy shit, this is $2,300. Like what the in one go? I don't even buy things for myself. Like I'm so damn frugal. I don't buy things for myself like that expensive. You know.
I plan to buy expensive things, but I do it years in advance.
Well, I save up or it's deals. Like the most expensive thing I've ever bought with cash was a car. And I didn't finance it. I just saved up. And me and my wife saved up for it, and we just bought it cash because I don't like financing things that don't need financing.
That's fair.
But anyways, that's the end of there. I'm just saying, like, you can't coddle yourself. And like, if you're going to stay in jiu-jitsu long term, like, what's the point of doing jiu-jitsu? And if you're like, I want to be a black belt or whatever belt you want, like that's going to take years, right? And most people, it's going to take like a decade to get your black belt. So if you know that's the case, you know this is the sport that you choose, like you're spending hundreds of dollars on rash guards, and like it's rash guards that people are doing. That's hundreds of dollars too. So
I need to buy another rash guard actually.
Yeah, and then you're going to put yourself to this like a sport where like this where you can cripple people. That's one of the aspects of it. Then you should learn all aspects of it. You don't have to enjoy it. You don't have to be like, oh, I'm now a leg lock connoisseur. No, you don't have to, but you need to dabble in everything as soon as possible, so that you can be once you get to the highest level, you're not like you don't have to be like us. Like we didn't avoid it. It just wasn't taught to us back in the day in the early 2000s. And
just speaking of
now we're like.
Well, just to give some context to that, back then it was seen as a dirty move, right? And
like
it
last ditch effort. Okay,
last ditch, dirty move, cheap shot. I don't actually know why, but that's why it wasn't taught. Is there and that just came up from years history of the development of jiu-jitsu, right? Now it's totally different.
It's totally different. You can't avoid it. I mean, like if you go to a place that doesn't want to teach leg locks, and you want to be competitive, guess what, buddy? You need to find another gym because what's going to happen to you? Someone's going to clamp down your leg, and you are like half clueless. It's going to like if you're a purple belt or like a blue belt, and you don't really know how to defend leg locks or apply them yourself, you can get like a 3-stripe, 2-stripe white belt who's just in love with leg locks, clamp down your leg, and they're gonna take that thing home, man. Like you'll be tapping so fast, you'll be embarrassed. It's so embarrassing. Like it's extra embarrassing because you know you could have. It's something you could have done by training leg locks. See, like come on, like why avoid it? It's fun. Like it's fun. It's like you get to potentially break someone's leg. Yeah, they can do that to you. But like
it doesn't mean when you roll you have to execute it, but you still need.
You don't want to tear the guy's leg off.
Yeah, but okay. Here's my analogy.
Like you read from Kimura? No, you apply it to the breaking point, and then they tap, and then if they don't want to tap, you just let go. You know that's but you know it. I know it.
For me, it's like if you're working out and you specifically are like, man, I really hate working out my biceps, so I just don't do bicep curls at all.
Yeah.
Well, you're
squats.
Okay, squats. We'll say squats. Let's say it's fine. People don't like squats. Yeah, but you can still. But leg locks, there's many different forms of leg locks. So say you don't like barbell squats, you can still do hack squats. You can still do leg press for your quads. You can there's so many other things. But so why are you just ignoring working out a part of your body? Because you don't like it? Could you learn to like it? Probably.
You don't have to even like it at all. In fact, but the thing is, the reality is, like, you'll be so unbalanced. Just like in real life, you have chicken legs, super weak legs, but your body's super jacked. Like, okay, yeah, you can. If you're happy with that, that's fine. But if someone makes fun of you, if you decide to do like, in the context of physique, you want to do like a bodybuilding competition. Well, your legs are so lacking, you're never going to win. You're going to get destroyed automatically just by default because you decide not to work on your legs or they're so shit. same thing in jiu-jitsu. Like it's like in the MMA. I'm a grappler. I don't want to learn how to strike. Then you will be like Con Gracie. No disrespect him. You know, Abu Dhabi champion, right? Like he's like he's great jiu-jitsu, but you know you can't be butt scooting in MMA. He's got
Yep.
to butt scoot plus. Like I'm like, dude, like this is in 1994 or something. You know, this is the UFC like 2, UFC 3. And even then, Royce Gracie wasn't even butt scooting. He was
No.
like trying actively to take takedowns. He was trying to take people fucking down.
It was there's one shot of him where he's holding the hand and he actually's kicking the guy because he's trying to open up his legs to do a sweep. So he's doing what is it? I can't remember the name of it right now. But what he did was he modified it so that the front kick was his entry. It was his judo trip, and I can't remember the proper name.
Yeah.
But that's what he's doing. He's just like, well, I can kick him, so I want to do this trip to do the takedown. Might as well kick him in the thigh, right? I'm going to modify what I already know to do this, right?
Exactly. And in that
because
case,
I
he's basically taking like the most detrimental, sport-specific part of jiu-jitsu and apply it to like fighting like into a fight where like it's all encompassing, which is ridiculous. It's like purposely standing bladed, like you're like you don't know how
like
to box.
super
You
bladed.
don't know how to box, and you stand super bladed, and then you're like taking every single leg kick like known to man. You're just like, yeah, I'm just gonna take it. I'm like, okay, you could, but that's probably a bad idea.
That's gonna leave a hematoma.
Yeah, so like that's the thing.
Leg
You
kicks
could stand
scare me.
super bladed, you might catch the guy, but you're going to get leg kick. If the guy has any sense, he's like, oh, okay, you want to leave your leg out like that? That's fine. I'll fucking take it. And if you want to butt scoot across the octagon, whatever, sure, you can do that too. But I'm just gonna fucking avoid your fucking jiu-jitsu the whole time.
I like Matt Aurora. I'd actually like to go train in his camp at some point, but that's a dream.
It's in Miami or like Tampa, right?
Yeah, I think so. It's Tampa. I think it's Tampa. Anyways,
sounds like a cool guy. It seems like his jiu-jitsu, like the way he teaches, at least on YouTube, it's really like
Yeah.
precise and
I'd like to go visit there at some point in my life. But he was saying like, telling one of the stories where he was in the UFC and he'd beaten some guys with jiu-jitsu, and then he came up against one fighter, name I can't remember. Round, yeah, well, where he was just like, well, I get him down, but then he would just stand up, and I was like, well, I thought we were playing jiu-jitsu here. Like, this is the jiu-jitsu game, right? We're on the ground. It's the jiu-jitsu game. The guy's just like, fuck that. No, I'm just gonna stand up and get out of this. And one, it highlighted the need of jiu-jitsu players to take a beat from wrestling on how to control people and actually keep them on the ground. But also, two, it gave him the realization that like that was something he was lacking, because every other time he'd fought, the person was like passively agreeing to play that game.
Yeah.
Whereas this guy was like, I'm not playing this game.
Yeah.
This is not what I'm doing right now, right? So, I just think it's a good story to sort of highlight like what we've been talking about for basically most of the podcast. Like, you will encounter somebody if you are not competent in that position, you will encounter somebody who is, and you're going, well, I thought we weren't playing that game, and they're like, no, we're playing this game because this is the game I want to play. So either get on board or tap.
Suffer the consequence.
Yeah.
Look, I will say this though. If you don't want to play with leg locks, at the very minimum, like the bare bones, is that you need to be able
to defend
them. Yeah, like okay, it's like I think they're cheap. I don't want to do it. Okay, fine. Whatever weird thing is you have, but then you need to defend them. And in order to defend them, you need to let it happen to you. You need to be in situations where guys are gonna be like, I'm gonna fucking tack your leg, and you're gonna have to figure it out, or you're gonna tap out. So there's like a lot, especially in the heavyweight division. There's a submission grappler. He's Owen. He's British. I think his name is Owen Livesey, and he's jacked fuck. Anyways, he's like a silver medalist in judo in Europe, and I think he's like a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. He's much better than purple belt. Like he went head to head against like some really good guys, and he's only been competing for like 2-3 years in jiu-jitsu, but he comes from the Carlson Gracie school of jiu-jitsu, so that's our bread and butter.
Heavy top game.
Right?
Yeah,
heavy
a lot of pressure.
Game. He doesn't fuck around with the leg locks. Like he'll spend 1 day a week going and he'll take his students with him, and they specifically go to a leg lock heavy school to
defend,
get the experience to learn. And he even said like he will train leg locks, but in comp he won't use it, but in training he will too. So maybe if it's there he'll take it, but for the most part I think it's just to defend against it. and then he's got an archer heavy top game style. And he went head to head with Nicky Rod. It was a stalemate. It was a draw. And Nicky Rod's a top heavy guy as well. And anyways, like you can have a successful career being like a top heavy like jiu-jitsu player, but you need to have the defense to apply that. You need to have that ability to play your game. And then people that have like certain, like for me, like and you, we rather play from the top. Not every single time, 100% of the time.
Yep.
If every second jiu-jitsu could be me on top of you, I'm living the dream. But in order for that to happen, I need to get better at defending leg locks.
One of the things I was trying to practice I've been trying to practice is guard retention and recapturing guard. 'Cause I'm terrible at it. But I realize that in recapturing guard or having guard retention, that gives me more opportunities to do what? Go to the top. Right? Because if I'm not stuck under somebody's full mount or side mount or north-south or whatever, and I have to turtle to get up and escape, like that takes a lot of effort. But if I can get better at retaining my guard or recapturing my guard if I lose it, that just gives me more opportunities to get to where I want to go, right? I know I'm not great at it right now. I need to get better at it, so I'm trying to practice it, right? I don't want to start a positional roll with the guy mounted on me. There's balls. But if it helps me learn how to recapture guard and then retain guard so I can stand up or maybe do a sweep to the top, I will suffer through it.
Yeah, same here. Like plus like back to leg locks. If I do a leg lock, you escape it, and I can like wrestle up from there, or you give me your back to escape. You can take your back from there. Like again, that means I get to be on top again.
Yep.
Like if you have how you want to play, learn everything so that you can play that style, right? Because if you can do everything, you can play the style that you want all the time.
Yeah.
Like basically all the time.
Become ungovernable.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that like, yeah, it's just weird that like if you start jiu-jitsu today, like going into today or even a few years ago, that you don't want to do leg locks. I find that really weird. Like I understand.
I think we found it weird even back. I think you and I both found it weird even back when, in the early 2000s, when we started to learn leg locks were an actual thing. We're like, well, why aren't we learning any of this?
Like Dean Lister and a few other guys, like
still love Dean,
like Jeff Glover, they were coming in and leg locking everybody, and so this was a no-gi, and speaking of like weird, like remember I was like trying to convince people, hey, maybe we should take our gis off to do when we do no-gi. I mean, like we should get better at no-gi. They're like, oh no, if you do no-gi, like it's super easy. It's the same thing like with the gi. You don't need to train no-gi to be good at the. You can just train the gi to be good at no-gi. And I never understood the correlation. I was like, but we have, like for me personally, when I was doing gi, I was only doing lapel chokes, and sometimes I'll go for arm bars. Like it was like 90% lapel chokes.
Well, yeah, so when you took somebody's back, it was like you did a lapel choke or a boomerang. You rarely sunk in a rear naked.
I did like the bow and arrow choke. I was like 90%.
Yeah, same here.
I couldn't like choke you out. Then I just go to knee on belly, and that was it. Like I relied on the gi so much. So
or even for an arm bar, you wouldn't grab the wrist. You'd grab the grab the cuff, right?
Yeah, and all my defense was using their other people's gis. Like so many times, I held on to my own belt. I held on to my own gi pads and defense submissions. Like it was nuts, man.
Yeah.
Like you don't.
All of a sudden, you have nothing to hold on to.
Yeah, it was like my whole style of jiu-jitsu was gi dependent. Like you take the gi off, it was like, oh. Yeah. I was just happy. I was just lucky that when we did no gi, I was more athletic than most of the people that I went against. So I was just like fly around. But now I don't fly as much anymore. I'm still very athletic, but the guy is better than me, and he's just as athletic, if not more. I'm hooped.
Yep. Super
hooped. He doesn't
hooped.
have to be athletic. He can be completely unathletic, and he knows how to attack me. With leg locks, and I'm hooped. Like how I was like on Monday, I was getting leg locked to death. I healed up to death. I was just like, wow. But like I'm not avoiding it, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
Gotta get that.
I'm not avoiding it, and I'm still having trouble. Can you imagine someone who is avoiding it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta get that knee past the thigh. Get out of that heel.
Yeah.
Like it's tough.
It's easier said than done. In theory, yeah. Oh yeah, I just gotta fucking.
Sure.
Get my knee out.
Well, I was just thinking about this too. Like even escaping, when someone takes your back in the gi, it's a lot easier because you can hold the gi cuff to rip that arm, especially if you're stronger, get that over your head and spin. But like in nogi, you gotta block the arm, hand fight, butt scoot, get the thing, get your shoulder down, get your elbow down, get your butt over the thigh. Okay, block so he doesn't take mount, skip out, come up. Like it's so there's so many more steps because there's nothing to hold on to. Right? Even if you get a 2-on-1 and it's strong and you can get it over your head, like there's a good chance, especially when you're sweaty, it's just gonna whoop, and you're exactly where you were.
Hand fighting is so much more important in my opinion in nogi. Like the hand fighting you need to defend yourself, grips, you like, and then shift your hip onto the thigh so you can escape. You know, you can switch you over, especially like guys like love doing the body triangle like straight away.
Yep.
So you have to shift it, you have turns to the other side, and then that transition. And
roll, shift,
get you like there's so much more. I'm not saying that gi is easier. There's more options. Especially you can climb the arm, like you get the arm over, and now you're just holding onto their gi. Like there's things you can do, but effectively you're safer with the gi.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Plus, here's another thing you can do if they're taking your back. You can hold the cuff of one, and you can get a really strong grip, and then you can grab the pant leg. Right? In nogi, you can't. There is nothing to grab there. It's just thigh. Even if they're wearing shorts, you can't grab the shorts. So you're just like pushing on their leg, and it's just slipping off. And you can't hold the hands. So you're giving yourself a real good chance of them just trapping your arm. So it's like you just can't do that. You can't. Yeah.
It's way harder, man. And especially if you roll with me. Like I'm wearing booty shorts, man. And I got extra tight crash them on.
You're slippery as a baby seal.
Dude, I'm like crazy. Like, I'm just slip and sliding. Like I've been so slippery. It happened to me last night. I knee cut so fast, and I'm so slippery.
Slipped right through.
I slid and I face planted. Like, I blasted the guard. Boom, face plant. Boom. I'm just like sloppy. Like, come on, like, that's the slippery I can get. And I got booty shorts. I'm like one of 3 people or 2 people that wear just the booty shorts. I know people wear the booty shorts underneath their
shorts.
E-shorts.
Yeah, that's hilarious though.
I tell everybody, I'm like, listen, this is a way to go, guys. Like
that's funny. I can just imagine you knee cutting so fast. Are you? Woo! You just overshoot your target. Shit.
I just went peek. Like slip.
You're covered in baby oil, buddy. You just
Dude, don't need baby oil, man. Don't need lotion, none of that stuff. Like, especially in your room of like 30, 40 people, and it's so hot in there. You're just dripping with sweat. It's like
that's funny.
And another thing to like people that we're talking about leg locks and people avoiding it. Trouble wrestling. Like 90% of my rolls start from the feet. I can't tell you how many times that like if I roll say like 5 times, it's rare that I roll 6 in a row, but like say if I roll 5 times, 2 of those sometimes like it happens like quite often that it's just straight wrestling. Like we're just shooting in. It's like for the whole 5-6 minutes, whatever it is. We're just wrestling. We're trying to take this game. And I think that if you don't take any wrestling classes, but you force yourself to do stand-up, like often. I don't mean like once a week. I mean like every time. You go, every time. Like you do 5 rows. Now we only got time for 3 rows. One of those 3 rows have to start
on the feet. One thing I like, because I've done the shooting singles, and I love. But one thing I found success with from standing is, so you do a shrug by. Right, you get a shrug by, but usually they'll underhook, right, to stop you from going, because you're like this, you shrug, they'll sink it in. I'll sink in a wizard, right, and go for the trip. For some reason, people don't seem to expect that. They expect you to keep going straight forward, but it's like, well, he's shooting, so I shoot the wizard, pull them forward, and then you can go for the trip and get them. And I've been finding success with that. And if they bring their hand over to defend, even if they grab your wrist to defend, right. Because usually you can go for an ankle pick or something from that position too if you reverse. Even if they grab your wrist, you've got the wizard, right? You just pull your hand because they're holding. They might let go, but it'll bring them far enough where you can actually get your leg over to the far leg, and they just mat return. But I wouldn't have learned that if I hadn't started standing, because if all I did was shoot singles, I would be very, very tired, man.
I mean, you could if it's like something that's really easy for you to get, why not? But I think like, aside from actually learning the technical aspects of wrestling, just putting yourself in that situation of constantly fighting for position. Like so many times, you just bump fist and then you're like, okay, let's start in half guard, let's start in this. Like how many times is that going to happen? Like unless it's a restart in Jiu-Jitsu, like that's not going to happen. The fight doesn't start that. So many people are so passive with their like stand up. You can see them in comp. They're like basically like playing like but and then whereas like when in my school, it's pretty aggressive. Like because so many of us wrestle at least once a week. Like some guys will go wrestling 2 weeks in a row, and then they won't do much jiu-jitsu, and they'll come back to jiu-jitsu. Like they have cycles, right? But I would say like 90% of the people there wrestled, right, to some degree. And there's a handful of them that wrestle like 3 times, 4 times a week, or whatever it is, and along with 3 to 5 times jiu-jitsu, right? So these guys are like oh, they're on the ball, right? So I like to wrestle with those guys, right? And then when we wrestle, it's like aggressive wrestling. And it's like a lot of pushing and like a lot of clubbing and stuff like that. Not like we're like
Not smacking,
like,
but collar choke, push down.
Like collar ties, making sure that we don't grab your lead hand, and all that's a lot of hand fighting, like tons of hand fighting. And then sometimes you look at the clock, it's been 3 minutes of wrestling, like not like pity pat wrestling. I mean like head on collisions, and we're wrestling,
Yeah.
and that it's made my endurance so much better because by the time it gets to the ground, it's almost like a relief because you're wrestling so hard. And if you go against a good wrestler, you get fucking tired, man. Like, cause you're like becomes a blur. I remember when I got back in, I'm like, oh, we're starting on our feet. Because we used to train before. Nobody wanted to start on their feet, except like me and maybe a couple other people. We're like, oh.
Yeah, we did a lot of midget wrestling at best.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, you don't need to. You just need to shake the guy down and do like a shitty judo throw. I'm like, but we should probably start standing because we were a top-heavy school, like Carson Gracie style, right? But nobody wanted to fucking do wrestling, or judo. I would have fucking loved it. Like,
if you're in the gi, judo is a great thing to have,
especially with the gi.
Yeah.
But now with like I think it's just fun. Like I don't know why people love jiu-jitsu but they don't love wrestling. I mean like
I think because wrestling's hard.
It's hard, but it's fun. And like for me personally, like when I go to jiu-jitsu, I still get nervous sometimes. You get the anxious butterflies, right?
Yeah.
Not as much as before. Like it's the degree once it was. It's like very minimal now, right? Once I get in there, it's gone. But when I go to wrestling, there's no butterflies. I'm just like having the time of my life, getting like driving there. I'm like excited because I'm not trying to be a great wrestler. I'm trying to be a great submission grappler. So when I go to wrestling, it's just like, would you get really nervous if you were just doing, I don't know, like in arm bars all day? It's like, okay, this is the arm bar class or whatever. I'm just making shit up, but like whatever, we're just going to do arm bars today, whatever. So like, for me, it's like that with wrestling. I'm like, oh, we're just going to do takedowns. And when I do straight wrestling, there's so little pressure when we go live that I'm just shooting from everywhere. I'm like, oh, I get pinned, or boom, I get sprawled on, like, and we restart again. It's no big fucking deal. Like, but whereas in jiu-jitsu, it's like, yeah, if I miss that shot, there's gonna be some it's gonna be a shitty row. It's gonna feel like a row, right? It could become that. So I feel like you should invest in the stand-up. Like,
honestly, I think that might be why some people pull guard. Because I think that's why some people pull guard, or just butt scoot, sit down, because they don't want to wrestle, because they feel like if they wrestle, they're gonna get put in a shitty position, not on their terms, so they might as well just, like, it's almost a sort of a negative outlook to the outcome. Like, well, I'm going to end up in a shitty position anyways. I might as well end up in a shitty position on my terms, where it's like, or you could improve your chances of not being in a shitty position by practicing the thing you don't like.
I mean, you should at least try to wrestle. Like, fuck, at least get the guy tired, right? Like, for me, when I go against, like, seriously young kids, they're better wrestlers than me. I'm just like, fuck. But I do have the advantage of being like 20 pounds heavier.
That's always nice.
Yeah, I'm relatively athletic. So like, I will shoot, I'll hand fight to get them frustrated, because defensively I'm alright. Like that, I pride myself on having good defensive wrestling. So when I force shots on me, like they get fucking frustrated, they shoot on me, and I love it. Because I use sprawl on it, or I get the cement mixer and I just toss them right over, or go to a gator row. That's fine. Then I get a front headlock. As long as I get the front headlock in some sort of way, I'm fucking happy. I'm ecstatic. I'm like, yes, thank you for shooting on me.
Yeah, that's always a nice one.
That's totally fine. But like, that's why I have very little pressure when it comes to like the wrestling aspect. But I think that if I had to like pull guard, and there will be times I will have to pull guard, and I have. So it's like in training. So I just want to give you should not that. Like just like leg locks, you should learn how to pull guard properly with connection, like purposefully pulling guard. If you butt scoop, like you're really giving an advantage to the other person.
Yeah.
If you just sit down and guard, okay, now they have every single option. Do the loose passing or just dive right into your guard. Whereas if you pull guard with connections, then you get to hopefully like you have a higher chance of falling into a guard of your choice with the connections that you want. Then you can start attacking. Then it's really tight, right? Now they have to work through that, right? If they're like that behind kind of thing. But if you just fucking nilly-willy, I'm just gonna flop to my fucking legs and spread eagle. Well, bro, like we always joke about like Craig Jones like make jiu-jitsu gay again. If you're just gonna pull guard and spread your legs, that's Like, you might as well pull your pants down while you're at it too.
Turn over, pull
Like,
your
that's
pants
how I
down.
think. I'm like, what the fuck, bro? Like, you can pull guard. I think you should if that's like a
You know
real
what? I
five
want to.
out.
I want to
If you
see.
pull guard, you can.
I want to start to see people not pulling guard and pulling turtle. Let's make that a thing. Just
There's
start the
this
match
guy-
and go straight into turtle position and be like, all right, here we go.
there's this one guy, I forgot his name. Something Teles, Brazilian. He invented the turtle. He um popularized the turtle guard. So like if you hold turtle, the guy was going for leg locks and taking your back from turtle. It was insane. Like, I should send you a video of him. Like he's I think multiple time world champion. I think he like revolutionized turtle guard. Like he'll turtle up so well that I'm not sure how well it would work in Nogi. I think he was very successful in Nogi as well.
Okay.
Primarily in the gi, when you attacked him, dude, he would like fucking take your back or whatever, or fucking when he was in turtle. It was insane.
I mean,
It
for
was
somebody who's that skilled in that, you do what you want. But what we're talking about here today, like, to me, butt scooting across the thing is might as well be the same thing as you just going right into turtle, right? For most people, it's like just give them the advantage, give your opponent the advantage.
I think you should pull guard with connections.
That's fair.
That makes sense.
That's fair.
Pull guard to connection and attack.
Well, we were talking about
Win.
this the other time too. It's like, if it's sudden death because nobody did anything, right? Guy pulled guard and the guy got on top and nothing happened, right? Like it was a complete stalemate. Yeah, that overtime should be forced to do something. So even if you pull guard, you have to get to top or something, right? Like you have to do something, right? And that I think that goes the same with the pull guard with connections, right? Like if you are going to pull guard, do it with connection because at least then you're being active. Whereas I find butt scooting, you are now waiting for your opponent to do something.
Yeah, it's also distasteful too. It's like there's also like lots of like butt scooting is like a stance, right? I guess like a fighting stance if you want to call it that.
Sure.
Anyways, but like in every single fighting stance in all of any type of martial arts, judo, karate, all types of karate, kung fu, boxing, Muay Thai, whatever, all that wrestling, dude, that has to be the most distasteful, aesthetically unpleasing fighting stance ever. You line up all these different martial arts, and then they all like imagine you're going on a fucking fight, like it's you
It
versus
definitely
all
doesn't
of
look
them.
cool,
Like,
that's for
like
sure.
You're there, it's like 50-on-1. You look across, everybody's in their fucking like fighting stance for their like whatever martial arts they represent, and then you look down the end, and there's this motherfucker on his ass
With 1 foot leg crawled.
Then, but you got, maybe it's not 100-on-1 at the same time. You're gonna fight that guy first. Okay, I'm gonna walk up to him. I'm gonna fucking grab his top lip. I'm gonna kick him in the fucking dick. And then I'm gonna curb stomp him. It's so stupid. Like we participate. I feel like we're allowed to shit talk that. It's so stupid. It's the dumbest
it's dumb.
fucking fight stance.
It only works specifically within the context of a jiu-jitsu match.
Yeah, in any other sport in their stance, like they could get away with. Like you can. Stand
And what's sad is there's so many other things you could do other than butt scooting in jiu-jitsu, and I think that's why it's so distasteful. Is because like you're doing the one thing that is probably the most disadvantageous to you in this situation, even within jiu-jitsu. Forget adding everything else, like because there's no connection. Your opponent's far away. You sit down and you are waiting. You are now waiting. So, like, violence of action. You have none. Because you have given that initiative, that violence of action, to your opponent. And you are now even if you're coming at them, they have all the options at how they want to come at you. And all you have is going forward trying to make a connection on your ass. So you have no speed, you have no I think that's why even amongst the jiu-jitsu community, people are like, that's fucking dumb.
Dude, I'm gonna pretend to engage in your fucking butt scoot in a street fight, and then like this, and then
you're just gonna front kick him in the face.
Kick your dick, man. You're blade kicking it until you realize you get the fuck up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna grab onto your shoe and I'm just gonna try to spray your legs further and kick. I'm just stomping nuts. I'm just gonna stomp it.
Yeah.
And what the fuck was I engaging with that fucking stupid ass thing?
Yeah.
So so fucking stupid.
I mean, it's different if you find yourself in that position, right? Like you've had a roll, you've had a wrestle, you've gone down, and they've broken away, and you're still on your butt, right? And they've broken away. They've made
for you, like if you could get up to get hit,
they've made space, and you like have to decide: do I try to reconnect? Do I lunge forward off my feet to reconnect with feet, or do I stand up? Right? Okay, so that's different. That's That's
different.
not what we're
You're in
talking
that
about.
position. Yeah, because you've been forced into.
You've been forced into that position. Now you have to make a choice. Do I stand up or do I come at the guy? Maybe there's enough room that I can get forward, get to a knee, grab his leg or something in action, right? Take action. We're talking about the people right at the start of the match that are across the freaking mat and just sit down.
I mean, it's like I look at it this way. I look at it's like the equivalent of going to prison and like purposely throwing your soap on the floor in the middle. Like, it's like, oh, oops, sorry, boys. Like, fuck, that's how I look at it. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you're inviting.
If
you're
you are,
inviting it.
in that particular analogy, if you are of that persuasion,
I mean, like,
more power to you. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about doing the jiu-jitsu and basically, leaving yourself vulnerable
almost the same, man.
for some reason. No one has ever been able to explain the real advantage of doing that.
I mean, like, if you were so good at it, your guard is so good, you could like
Walk up, grab the guy, pull guard with a connection.
With connection, it'll actually do you a better service.
Now you've closed the distance, and you don't have to butt scoot and give him the option of a toreando or a cartwheel pass or just fucking running at you.
Get to the guard you want.
Yeah.
Like, because when you play like a fucking butt scoot game, like the option is to them. You're banking on the fact that not the fact you're banking on like the scenario where they don't know how to pass all that well. They don't know how to get to the guard in an open guard situation. But if any like high level jiu-jitsu guys worth their like weight in what's the saying like
weight in gold, worth of salt, worth their salt.
They're gonna know exactly like where they want to go. It's like, oh, thank you for pulling guard.
Oh, you pulled guard. Leg drag. Let's do this.
Like, especially if they're like a well-rounded the jiu-jitsu practitioner, they're like, oh fuck, we know how to wrestle now. You just pull. Thank you for doing all the work.
You saved me 5 minutes of energy. Wonderful, thank you.
A lot of people pull guard, and I'm just like, oh, thank God. So because sometimes like you wrestle and you finally get to the guard, you're like, oh, thank God, we're finally here. We can do jiu-jitsu.
I've definitely had guys pull guard, and I've just been like, oh, sweet, thanks. That's so much easier.
There's not too many guys that pull guard. I will give the smaller guys at my school a lot of credit. They will wrestle me with like a 40-pound disadvantage.
That's good for them.
Yeah.
I have pulled guard on the smaller guys.
Pull guard on like newbies.
Yeah, fair. I've done that. I actually did it once to one guy who's I think he might have one stripe, and it felt funny because I did it to him before. It was like the third time where like kind of wrestled a little bit, but I haven't flung him. Grabbed a wrist and pulled guard to get a hook underneath one of his ankles, and he's and I just remember him saying, "Oh, not this shit again." Like, man, I'm not even a good guard player. Like, I'm doing this for practice. I suck, and I know you're new, so that's fine. But I know you think you're gonna get swept, so I get it. But would you rather have that or me do a double on you and put you into the mat hard? Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. I don't know about you, but sometimes like when I'm in guard and I go against like a white belt, and then I just feel like every move is working. It's almost detrimental. Oh, you get every sweep you want. And you're like, oh my God, I'm improving. But there's no context. Like, you're so far ahead. Like, am I getting this because I'm actually getting better, or am I getting?
Yeah, that's because they don't know what to do when I do that. Yeah, I get that. I understand.
Like, no, my guard sucks. None of the things I want to do are working. Not even remotely close. Like, I'm defending for my life, not to get my guard passed. So, I end up using a lot of like it's a habit I still have. Like, I don't know about you, I use a lot of power, like especially when guys are about to pass my guard, like chest to chest, and if they get, I kind of force. Well, I don't really force it. Like if they get their hips up too high, I do like monster bridges, like back in the day.
I have stopped doing monster bridges because of that exact problem, and it came to fruition when I was trying to escape from mount, and the guy on top of me had longer legs and was just as strong as heavy as me. And I'm like, right. I can't just monster bridge him off me. So I actually looked up like 3 different mount escapes, and I've been practicing them. I'm like, well, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. Okay, try this one. Okay, try this one. That didn't work. Great. Okay, I got this one. Oh no, he S-mounted my ass. Shit. Okay, at least I know how to get out of this, right? Because against a smaller guy, I can just basically, put their hip up. Because they're light, just hit and just bring my legs in and yay. So like against I don't want to say less skilled, less knowledgeable opponent, less practiced, I guess. opponent who's lighter, it's like the monster bridge is just too easy.
It's like, yeah, it almost develops bad habits because you can get away with it, right?
Yeah, because you can just even doing the improperly doing the what's it the elbow to get the leg in can be I I I recognized I was starting to develop a bad habit against the smaller opponents because I could get my arms in, get the knee, and then I could actually lift them up in it a little bit, like off the ground, to create extra space, which is fine.
Yeah.
But as soon as you have a bigger guy that you can't lift off the ground like that, like it doesn't work.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not cheating. It's just not the most efficient way to do it.
Yeah, you get away with it because you got the strength and size, you can really leverage it. But it's like dangerous against a bigger guy because they're just like, oh.
They're just hip down. No.
Yeah, it's not happening, buddy. Not today.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, because we kind of played a big man jiu-jitsu style. Even when I was smaller, I was still playing a big man style jiu-jitsu. Right now, I'm actually a much bigger guy. It's hard to not do it sometimes, just because it's like it's there, right? It's like,
And sometimes you're tired and you're just like I just don't want to deal with this anymore, so I'm going to use my power. And one thing, I don't know if this happens to you. I was rolling with another blue belt, but I was much bigger and physically stronger than him, and I was doing everything I could to not use strength, right? But it just happens, you know, like I was probably like 60 pounds heavier than him.
That's a lot.
It was a big difference, and we were playing around, like that's how we phrase it, like let's play, and I'm like, well, don't use. It's the thing which was like, don't use strength, but I can't not use strength. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm going to focus on the technique, but if I grab his wrist and I'm holding on with the minimum amount of my force, it still exceeds his ability to pull his hand out. And I'm like, what do you do? Like when it's that big a difference, it can be a good thing during that role because you're like, haha, I've got a lot of advantage here. But then you try to do the same thing against somebody your size and strength, and it doesn't work, right? So it's one of those things you always have. I always have to be cognizant of. Like,
I will say that like it's not. I don't try to not use strength unless I'm with a really small woman. Which a couple weeks ago I had to roll with like a 125-pound girl. She was a blue belt. She's good. I seen her like her leg locks are way better than mine, but just by sheer power and size, like when she caught the heel hook, I was just like,
just gonna push that leg down and pull my leg here, and
yeah, basically it was done. I defended pretty easily, just like the sheer
difference in yeah.
And then, but when I roll against another guy, it's same take. If they are really going balls to the wall, well,
sure.
Full strength is coming up. You know what?
Yeah.
I need full strength to keep your speed in check, so I will go full strength.
Yeah,
but what I do is
I
crush them though. I do like side mount crushes. Like I fly them out.
Shoulder to face. Do you get a crossface? Sort of. I put my shoulder right into your right here.
Crossface anymore. I find that like I have a difficult time applying from like tight cross faces. I know when you're trying to get it, like you were showing me that because you have a really tight cross face, it really fucking sucks. So my ability to do the cross face isn't that great. But I naturally the Kesikatami and the reverse Kesikatami is like super natural to me. So I've just been force feeding people my hips. So like basically like they got most of my body is like on top of this area, and then they can't really move. And when they do turn into me, I just get back to my knees and I'll just go around. So that I smush them. So like when they're on like their side, and, you know, the back exposed, or they turn towards me, the hands are all bundled up. So when their hands are all preoccupied, I just go around, take their back, keep more grip.
Fair enough.
You know, it's great. That's been my like real bread and butter. I do need to diversify my submission game because 99% of my submission game is, you know,
arm triangle.
It's like arm triangle, Darce choke, guillotine, you know, anaconda, and
hey, those are my staples too.
Armbar, get on the armbar so I can get back control to do fucking another choke. It's like 99.9% is a choke. I might go for a knee bar on the bottom, depending on white belts.
White belts. No, that's why I wanted to try. Like I've been trying to do a few more leg locks, even though I like it's basically a hail in the Hail Mary, just a storm of chaos and just an attempt just to try and do the exact same thing because for months there it was like, well, how'd you submit him? Arm triangle. How'd you submit that guy? Anaconda. How'd you submit that guy? Arm triangle.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like,
How'd you get submitted?
like
Leg lock, fucking Kimura, fucking armbar, fucking omoplata, like just
yeah,
all these
same
different
here.
other submissions are getting me, and I'm doing like
Yeah,
two. Yeah,
yeah,
so I get that.
yeah. Especially like I for the heel hooks, it's just one guy, two guys in particular, and they're both stronger and more athletic. That's when they can negate all my athletic ability. Like,
Yep.
I yeah, probably like in terms of strength, there's like 30, 40 people there. Yeah, probably more in total from the day class and the afternoon class and like the class combined together. I would say there's like say 40 people, right? Maybe more. I'm probably within like the top five of
Oh,
athletic
I know
ability
I am
strength. Yeah.
at
So
my
like you
at
get
my
away with a
school.
lot more.
Yeah,
You get away with like so much until you meet like the guy who's just as good, like
there's
athletically or stronger than you. You're just like, ah.
there's um there's two guys I know that are probably as strong as me. Maybe not in the numbers exactly. I think they're more bodybuilders than they were powerlifters. So
Still
maybe
got that
not,
strength.
but they're strong, and
Yeah, and they're
I'm
strong as
strong.
fuck.
And there's one guy who is close. I know I got the slight edge on that, but not significantly enough to make a difference. So those three guys I know, like rolling with, that's a tough one. But you're absolutely right against other folks in my level or lower level or even a little higher level. Yeah, you pull out the strength card, like they're doing all their speed, and once they slow down just a minute, you're like, and strength. I'm gonna smack you with this card now, and we're gonna take a breather, and I'm gonna crush you a little bit.
Yeah.
Even if the bell goes, this is we're done with that crap. Yeah.
You know what I've been trying to do? Well, I'm not trying. Like I tried now, and I'm doing. Like even when I'm totally exhausted, I'll just because I think it's because I took on a wrestling mindset and I started wrestling
Yeah. Yeah.
like, outside, outside jiu-jitsu. It's the non-stop action. So like when when you see Nicky Rod and like J Rod, the two brothers wrestle,
Yep.
they do jiu-jitsu. Even the guys that beat him, it's just non-stop. It's a scramble, scramble. I just keep parading scrambles, even to my own detriment. But like I'm so exhausted, I just keep going and going to the point, and just keep passing, and they fail, I jump over. It's like multiple non-stop. Like I was spam like 3 or 4 guard pass attempts over and over and over again.
I actually got a compliment when I was up. I've had this compliment a couple of times. I feel it's a compliment against guys who are more skilled. They've said this to me. They said, "Man, it's great you keep going." Like I don't know. I don't have a sample size enough to say this, but I feel like it's a bigger guy with not as big a gas tank as some of the smaller guys. Easily not as big, right? I feel like at times the bigger guys, especially if they're outclassed in skill, might get to a bad position and just sort of camp there because they need to catch their breath. They want to catch their breath.
Yeah.
There's might be a psychological thing being like, man, I'm super tired. I just need to camp out in the shitty position and not get subbed so I can recoup some energy. And back in the olden days, I know I used to do that too from time to time. But now I don't want, if I'm going to camp, I don't want it to be in a shitty position.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, so I want to recover a half guard or wrestle up to something, it's like, or even break away. So now we have distance. Now I can heave ho, right? Like, okay, you okay? Yeah. Come on, right? And it's for that exact reason. Like, if you have 6 minutes on the clock and it's minute 5, you don't want to just camp. I don't want to camp in a shitty position just to end out the round, right? Because like I may be tired and I may be, probably wanting to throw up a little bit, but like, why am I not going to at least use whatever energy I have to recover a defensible position? Right? So it's my feeling. It's a little bit different than what you were saying about the spamming things. It's more of like when I'm in the defensive position that I don't want to stop in that shitty position. I want to hand fight. I want to skip my hips. I want to look for an opening. I want to push through it to get to I'll say a position of relative safety. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I think like when I'm in the more like when I'm on the receiving end and stuff, it depends who I'm going with. Like I've learned that if I try to work, especially if I kind of already lost the position and multiple steps behind, I can't really just keep on moving. I have to kind of let them start to work, and I have to like beat them on the transition because I'm so far behind. in that sense. But if it's like a that's a disadvantage like position, then I will start to attack.
Sure.
Just so like if there's I'm doing something right.
I'll put a slight caveat on that, right? Like, say I get a S mounted, right? And I I'm not moving my entire body necessarily, right? But I'm making sure my feet are in the right position so I can hand fight, right? And I'm not going to stop the hand fight. I'm going to keep this going, right? Instead of just bundling up and hope they don't armbar me, right? So that's what I mean, right? And then when an opening presents itself, right, we're doing this, maybe distract them, I'm staying calm, right? Hand fight, pull something here, okay, all right, they move their foot, good, skip over, let's try to get to half guard or something like that, right? Like it's being patient but active. So it's not as like your example of like trying this guard pass to that guard pass to that guard pass that guard pass, right? Which is totally cool and I appreciate. It's just not huddling completely, you know, like kind of force your opponent to take an action.
Yeah. I get what you mean.
Yeah.
It's like not selling for this bad position because you're exhausted. It's like, fuck, okay, this is terrible. Like,
I'm just terrible. This is bad position. I'm just gonna huddle up and wait.
Yeah. Like, I totally know. I still sometimes do that depending on like how tired I am. It's easier to push the pace, obviously, when you're on top, and then I do find myself on top much more often, so I'm able to. And also, like I've gotten like a positive feedback loop because of my my improved guard passing game. So I just spam like nonstop, try to go crazy. I feel like because of that, it's been my one guard passing been much easier, and I think like the pace I put on people, it gets them exhausted, right? And I'm also trying to train like how I would fight. So like if I can keep that pace, like at that mindset, so I have the least amount of success when I'm kind of like the guys at the gym have been telling me, it's like sometimes I think too much, and that's when I'm like, they always say like you're taking too much time, you know, like you're best when it's a flurry, like thriving in that scramble, thriving in the chaos. I really enjoy that. That's like my favorite part of jiu-jitsu. If every time if it's just scrambles for the whole 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, how long you roll. Like some people find that with jiu-jitsu kind of like spazzy, but that's my favorite type of jiu-jitsu. I love it. I love the
chaos. You thrive in the chaos.
I love it when there's a roll that looks like a highlight reel, like just fucking passing, stopping, getting up, scrambles, dogfight, failed takedown attempts and back, you escape. Dude, that's the best part of jiu-jitsu. I wanted my rolls to look like highlight reels. I could be on the receiving end of like, it could be a low light for me, but I like to be a part of those rolls.
Right.
You learn a lot, no, but I think in the 10.
I don't think that's true. I'm going to push back on that. I think you do learn things from the scramble, from the chaos, right? I think there is knowledge there to be gained, and I think if you say, well, do you learn much? No. If you're an intuitive fighter, which you more are, you're learning more than I think you're giving yourself credit for, because next time you do that scramble, you do something a little different, right?
Yeah.
Because the difference between a scramble and just pure chaos is technique, and there is technique to a scramble, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm trying to apply technique. I feel that like in the beginning class, I told my wife this, like every time we drill moves, like in the beginning, even if it's like a move for like guard passing, and I love guard passing, right? It's like my favorite thing to do. I'm so bad at drilling. Like I'm so bad. Like
because you have to do it slow and follow the steps. Yeah.
Like even the ecological system when you play games, I'm fucking terrible. Like when we do positional sparring for drilling, dude, if you look at me, it's like, dude, this guy must be like straight up white belt. I'm so fucking bad. Like I'm even asking white belts, like guys who just started, like basically like a few months in 6 months, and I'm like, oh, am I doing this right? And they look at me, they give me a look like you're a fucking dumbass. Like hoping you look better than me. When I'm drilling, it's the only time I'm certain about my jiu-jitsu. It's so bad. Oh, where do you go? Like the moment I start rolling, it's just like as bad as it sounds, the less I have to think, the better I am.
Yeah. There's definitely times where I'm drilling, and it's primarily with leg locks, where like my brain does not know what my feet are doing, and I just can't put them in the right spot, and I'm like, I feel like such a dumbass trying to do this. I'm like, I watched it, I followed the steps. Why? What am I missing? And that actually happened a couple days ago, where we were doing a leg lock, and I'm like, I just don't get. We had to invert, And I'm like, I just don't get. Then I realized on like right before we stopped that drill, and I fucked it up every time. It was like, because when I invert it, I'm attacking the wrong leg. That's why it's not. That's why it's not working. And I try like my partner did it, and he screwed it up the first time, second time, but then the third time he was doing it. I'm like, what is he doing that I'm not?
Yeah.
And he's trying to help me, and I'm like, I feel like such an idiot in this particular drill.
I hate it when it, like, that's why, like, I do show up late for class now because of my schedule with my wife. So
I mean, as long as your coach is understanding with that, that's fine.
okay. I always apologize, and they're always like, don't worry, I'm glad we're chilling.
At least you made it. At least you made it.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, at least you made it. But then when I do, even when I do show up, I do all the moves, all the technique. I look around like not everybody. Like I'm like most of the people here are getting it. And then I got you get a few training partners like you two, like you always train with.
Yeah.
And I'm so shit. I'm like so fucking bad. But then I'll do the same move in a live roll, and I feel like if I got shown the move once or twice instead of drilling it,
just went in and tried it.
Yeah, I mean like I the whole ecological approach.
Yeah.
There are no moves in it. I'm not really completely all for that, but I do believe in like, okay, show me the moves. Tell me what I need. What's most important?
Yeah.
You need this grip, that grip. Okay, go roll. So then they're like, chase these grips, chase this, try to get this move, but chase these grips, chase the fundamental like fundamentally what are you trying to do? What's the functionality of this thing? Then I will just go for it because for me, I'm very intuitive.
Yeah.
Like if you show me a step by step, I'm just like,
huh?
I'm like thinking out. I'm just like I don't know what the fuck's going on here.
Well, I will say this sometimes. Like, I do appreciate that there's tons of options from one area, but sometimes what I have to do for my own thing, even against my partner, I'm like, you can do as many options when it's your turn to drill. When I've done my 2 drills and then it's your turn to do yours, you can do all 5 options. I don't care. That's fine. But when I'm watching this, I'll go, that one. That's the one option I want. I can't, like, in this particular move, all the setup to get here, I'm just going to do that one. I'm going to practice that one because if I try to do the other ones, I'm just going to fuck them up. Because I'm going to be thinking of the one I want to do, not realizing that, and I'm just going to, it's just not going to work. So I need to take from this what's useful to me. And there are some times where it's like, I was being shown a Kimura, and I said, well, if you can't finish the Kimura, you can step your leg over or whatever and do this. And I'm like, I'll try that while we're drilling, but I'm never going to do that in a live roll because my groin is not flexible in that manner.
Yeah.
So appreciate knowing it, not going to do it. And I think sometimes that's just what you have to do because you got to remember, everyone listening, your coach. If you got to remember everybody who's listening, your coach is there to show moves that can be done by not everyone in the room, but one of those options can be done by somebody in the room. You know what I mean? Right? So you have to take the option that's best for you. Right? Because, because every once in a while you're like, you get shown, you can do this one, or this one. It's like, well, I'm never going to do those two.
You're not going to have, all the food's there for you to eat, but you don't have to eat everything.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's not going to fit you. You might be allergic to seafood. Like, you can't just eat a bunch of crabs, a lobster, you'll die. So it's not good for you. Like you.
Yeah.
You can't eat seafood.
Well, I won't. You can keep the shrimp. I'm just going to go over to the beef.
Yeah. So it's the same thing, like for Jiu-Jitsu. Like, thank you for all the options. Like, I don't mind the options. But I'm so bad at drilling. That static drilling, I'm so terrible at it. Like, I don't want to be one of those guys, that, like, are in love with the ecological
approach.
Approach.
I think it has merit in certain situations. Like,
yeah.
Like, in one of the leg lock entries. In one of the leg lock entries, I remember we were doing, the ecological approach for me would have been like, use your left leg in this area as a scoop. Just fight for the scoop. Because I wasn't getting it. I think I told this story before, but I went to Yellowknife and I had this discussion with a purple belt and then I got it. And it was because I realized what I actually had to do was this. I had to think of this in this way. And now I can do it while drilling fairly effectively. In live roll, it's a little harder because, resistance and people not wanting you to do this stuff. But I think there is merit to that where you break it down to whatever move it is. You need and I actually had this happen when I was rolling with you. It was like, well, how do I get better at my at butterfly guard or half guard? Fight for an underhook. Oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense now, right? The rest, all the other bits and bobs around this particular technique weren't the thing that was actually holding me back. It was this one thing that I needed to recognize that I had to do to make this viable.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. For me personally, you show me the move, but then you need to contextualize it. Like, okay, Gordon, if anything, you need this. Like, just fight for this grip to the death. Get this underhook. Get this like push this hand here. That's it. Like, then everything will fall into place. If nothing works, you need this. So for me, I'll be like, okay, when I'm roll, I'm just gonna attack that over and over again. Even if I'm not successful, it's okay because I will maybe find I'm successful 2 out of 10 times. Okay, then as a student, you need to go home, think about, okay, why was I successful on those 2 and the other 8 times I wasn't? It's because, oh, on those 8 times, this, and this happened. And then, okay, I was successful on 2 attempts. What happened there? So like, okay, how can I make those other 8 attempts look like the other 2 successful attempts? And if you care about your jiu-jitsu, like how we do, and like I think most people do, you have to be introspective and be like, okay, this is, it's like, you know, you get a 2 out of 10 on your math exam or quiz, and you be like, what the fuck did I do wrong?
Well, yeah. So sometimes you have to throw that away and start again, and other times you have to really take a hard look. Like, well, no, this is the way I stylize my fighting style, right? Like there are some moves that you'll just be like, yeah, it's okay, not for me. Good to know. Good to know they exist. I might have to deal with that. Wonderful, but not for me, right? And other times you have to go, well, no, this literally is for me. What am I doing? What do I need to prioritize in this sequence to make it work properly, or at least somewhat effectively?
Yeah. And I think like jiu-jitsu can be really stifling in the sense like, oh, I've been shown this move, and like there's no creativity. I think once you kill the creativity, and creativity means like freedom
to adjust the move to your parameters.
Yeah, and also like just there's so many times I've been successful. Like, you know, like a cartwheel pass.
Yep.
Like I have never been taught the cartwheel pass, but when I got in a position to do it, I'm like, I'm just doing a fucking cartwheel. I'm doing cartwheels all the time now. Like because I found success, and I'm like, okay, clearly my body
can do this. Yeah.
I never drilled it. It makes a lot of sense. And then first time I did was sloppy, but now when I do it, it's a lot tighter now. Because I do it, and then that was through experimentation because I was willing to like literally fall on my fucking face.
Yeah.
To fail, and then if I failed, I would try again and try again. The whole thing is jiu-jitsu is like an experiment. It's like science. Like you do a test, do a study. Oh fuck, that was not the result I wanted. Let's keep on, go back to the lab and figure it out. But so many people, they're afraid. It's like like the Chinese like the student. Like, he's like, oh, I gotta get 100%. 100%. Like I gotta get 100 out of 100 on my math test.
Why didn't you get 101?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's like you're just so nervous about getting one mistake wrong. That kind of thing. You should just be more free with your expression of jiu-jitsu. It's like, like you said earlier on the podcast, it's like you can disengage. Like people feel like you have to engage in the guard. It's like, why don't you just break all contact and disengage?
Step back. Yeah.
And then be like, okay, fuck it. Like then you can start over again. Like I've been finding success like when I'm in a trouble guard, if I can disengage, I will. I disengage, back to open guard now, and then they have to sit up. But as when the people forget too, the person on the bottom is expending a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of energy sitting up, going back and forth. When you're standing up, you're not expending a lot of energy. You have the opportunity to be super creative when you're on top. On the bottom too, but then I would say being on the bottom, it's like when you fail an experiment, the consequences are much.
It does suck, but just remember you're rolling in class to do that, right?
Yeah. That's the whole point.
Don't
fight for your life.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to experiment and fail forward. I think on that note we're gonna wrap this one up.
Yeah.
It's been a minute, but it's been great. So thanks buds, of course. For everyone there, like, subscribe, leave a comment, do the things, hit the notification bell, and as always, we appreciate you, and we'll catch you in the next one.
See ya.